You're about to listen to our program Eng. We don't know why, however we are grateful you chose to. We do wish to inform you that the views, opinions and overall morality do not necessarily reflect those of the station, interview guests, sponsors or musical entities. If you should choose to continue, and we sincerely hope that you do, just know, we tried to advise you against these actions and we are not responsible for any damage done to your sanity, morals or ideals. Thank you. Here comes the terrible siren.
I am a humble man.
That you feel you don't belong.
I won't say you should follow me.
You are welcome. You are loved. Join us, and we shall reach the promised plain.
I'm not boastful, and my chorus is more soulful.
One of joy, one lacking pain. We are the cult of I am aware.
Don't say it. I can see
You
it.
feel you don't belong.
I don't wanna. You don't need it. Once again, we are legion. What I mean is, don't say it. I can see it.
Join us.
I don't wanna. You don't
We shall
need it.
reach
Once
the
again,
promised
we are
plain.
legion.
One of joy, one lacking pain. We are the cult of All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for another video podcast episode. And my guest this time is Kraith TV. Kraith is a streamer. He's a game developer. He's just a giant nerd, and he has an impressively beautiful beard. Yeah.
Hello, what's up?
So Kraith, you messaged me the other day with a very interesting thought construct, right? I get a message out of the blue. Hey, are you busy? I'm deep in GTA roleplay at the time, but I answer, no, what's going on? And he drops this thing at my doorstep. And at first I was like, yeah, okay, whatever, because deep into the GTA roleplay is Rooster. But when I went back and read it again after the fact, I was like, holy shit, he's right. And so that was the parallels between the 1983 video game crash, otherwise known as Atari Shock, and the stuff we're seeing in the video game industry today. And I gotta say, I'm a little upset I missed this one. So what brought it to your attention?
So this all started when I was having a conversation with our friend Padavar, and we were just talking. We were just talking about games in general nowadays, and he made a comment like, "Oh well, this isn't like the good old days of gaming. Back in those days, they released full games that were fairly priced and completed." And I had just finished writing an essay about the video game crash of '83, so I had to do my best glasses push up and go, "Well, actually, Pad." And I just went on this giant info dump to him. And I'm like, you know what? Odd's got to hear this, because it's kind of scary how close we're getting to history repeating ourselves. And I would say in the next 10 years, probably we're going to see a similar crash in the video game industry.
I'll tell you what, let's give them a little history first, real quick. Get everyone caught up. So the video game crash of '83, like I said, it was known as Atari Shock in Japan. It was a large-scale recession in the video game industry that occurred between '83 and '85, primarily here in the United States. The crash was attributed to several factors, including market saturation and the number of video game consoles, available games, many of which were very poor quality, as well as waning interest in console games in favor of personal computers. Home video game revenue peaked at around $3.2 billion in 1983 and then fell to just $100 million in '85. That's like a 97% drop.
Yeah.
The crash abruptly ended what is retrospectively considered the second generation of console video gaming in North America. To a lesser extent, the arcade video game market also weakened as the golden age of arcade video games came to an end. So, one of the big things that was a problem at that time is that there were so many copycats, right? It was just there was no real copyrighted material. It was still really easy to get the source coding. There was a lot of industrial espionage going on where people would get pissed off at their employer and steal the game code and take it to somebody else, and then they would barely change anything. Like, you're going from purple to blue on your characters. That's it. But they didn't have some of the code chunks that were missing, so they were releasing these inferior games that were just fucking broken.
Right.
And when the market couldn't stop that, when the industry didn't want to stop that, they were just trying to squeeze it for everything that it was worth. You had, what, 6 to 10 different consoles on the market in 83. Variant degrees of success, the top being Atari. The Atari console at that point was, I think it was the 2600, was the top tier. Like, you were somebody if you had the Atari 2600.
Right, exactly.
You know, you start going down the list, then you might have kind of been somebody if you had ColecoVision, and you were a nobody if you had an Odyssey or anything else.
Exactly.
I was a nobody. I had an Odyssey in my house. But you're right, though. We are seeing this similar thing now. It's to a lesser extent because there's only a few video game consoles really on the market. You have your PlayStations, your Xboxes, and your Nintendo Switches. But the problem is they're oversaturating their own market. Right. And then you had Steam Deck that came along, and Steam went up in smoke, or up in vapor. Yeah, it was a Steam Deck, right? Which one?
Steam Deck's still going.
Stadia.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Google Stadia.
Yeah, Stadia was just like boop. And I have friends that had the Stadia on pre-order and were like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, just gone. Game developers didn't even get a heads up about that either. No, awful. But yeah, so we're not seeing as many consoles yet. But I do think that might come in more in the future, especially with the Steam Deck success. I think we're going to see some other big players run at the home console game market. And I think we're going to see that saturation pretty soon, I would say.
I'd be shocked if Raspberry Pi didn't get a handheld.
Right. And I'm honestly surprised Amazon doesn't have any other rumors of something else coming out yet, because I'm sure they're going to be working on something. Prime Gaming is getting bigger and bigger, and I think they're going to try to take advantage of that too.
It might be on the long game roadmap of theirs. You know, Amazon doesn't, make stupid moves per se. Everything is very calculated for the success and profit.
Right.
So, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Although Amazon could look at it and be like, we'll just make games instead of, putting out a console. A console seems like a lot of hard work.
That's true. And it does take quite a bit of money, but it's not like Amazon's really hurting for that either. So
come on, everyone knows they're waiting for the Muskie, right? The little handheld thing that only runs on crypto.
Oh my God. Oh, that would probably be an unironic big hit in very certain sectors.
Yeah, it would cost you $2 million to get the console, though.
Just one Bitcoin, so you can time the pricing of it.
Doge.
Yeah, there you go.
One Doge. In fact, that's how you pay for it. That's the name of it, and every game is called Doge.
Yep. Instead of like quarters you'd put in an arcade machine, you just got to keep putting in Dogecoins instead. That's it.
And don't forget to play it in your Tesla.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so I think barring the console thing, which I think we'll get there. The other thing you mentioned, like oversaturation of the market, we've seen a ton. Copycat games. How many games look exactly like Warzone 2 does right now? How many battle royals are coming out that are exactly the same? But I think the big parallel that we can draw, especially right now, is false advertisement when it comes to games. And like the big ones, we think of like No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk, that when they came out were absolutely nothing like they were promised. And the mass returns, I think, led to Sony I think that was one of the only PlayStation games you could actually refund digitally due to their store. That's how big of a deal it was. They actually took it off of the store because they didn't want that return number to go any higher. I think that's huge. But that kind of falls in line with like
Fallout
so when people
76 was kind of like that too.
yeah. Yeah, that's another one. I didn't even touch Fallout 76 because of the negative press. But yeah, that's another big one that just completely underdelivered. And when we look at the games that were coming out in 83, I think we can see a lot of the same stuff. Like people look at ET, which is of course the giant failure of that time. If you guys don't know about the ET Atari game, it was made by two brothers within 2 weeks to hit a Christmas release time. And the whole entire gameplay was basically falling down holes. You had to pick the correct hole to fall down into to reach the next level. And that was the entire game. I have no idea what that has to do with ET, but that set a record. And I want to say like 80% of the cartridges were returned. And to this day, there was a landfill out there somewhere of nothing but ET Atari cartridges.
Actually, they buried them in the desert.
The desert, yeah, that's it. Yeah,
they literally took backhoes out to this area in the desert and buried every single cartridge of ET game that they could get their hands on. Every one of them that was returned or that was still sitting on a shelf somewhere, they went in and they grabbed them and they buried them in the fucking desert.
And they uncovered that a couple of years ago, I think, too. Mm-hmm. And it was just massive. It was this massive dig site.
Yeah.
It was huge. But when you do that, what you're doing is you're really hurting consumer trust. And I think that especially hurt CD Projekt Red, who had basically the entire goodwill of the gaming industries. CD Projekt Red could do no wrong after The Witcher 3. And you could say they really pissed most of that away with Cyberpunk. I'll say they did get a little bit back with the new Witcher 3 free upgrade. That was a great move. But for a long time, they were the laughingstock of the gaming industry.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will argue, too, in CD Projekt Red's case, I know for a fact that there was a lot of pressure that didn't need to be there on them to get the game out. You had your investors that were pressuring them. You had the public that was pressuring them. You know, I get it. There's games that I want to play too. Like, I cannot wait to glitch my way through Bethesda's space game. Trust me. I want it. I want it now. I want to be able to sit and play it. But I also understand that if I want to enjoy the experience, that takes time.
Yes.
And with both No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk, the pressure from the fan base or for the anticipation was immense. Mm-hmm. And the people were literally saying, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it if you don't release it soon. You've got investors that are saying, I'm pulling out my money if you don't release it soon. Mm-hmm. What do you do at that point? You're a game dev. You know, good dev takes time.
Absolutely. I think it was. I do agree that they were in a really hard spot. I think. So as a dev, I have to be aware of things like scope creep, which means basically, yes, this sounds like a good idea for my game, and it would probably be a lot of fun if I put it in. But is it necessary for my game right now? And I think that's what ended up happening with Cyberpunk is they were like, well, we can put this cool thing in and we can put this cool thing in. And let's tell everybody about all these really cool things we want to put in. Well, now everyone's expecting all of those things that you want to put in. So you spent however much dev time on realistic dong physics that you could have put into making sure that you're not glitching through the walls.
Come on.
You know what I mean?
Jiggle physics are important.
They are. Absolutely.
Real men jiggle.
But I just think scope creep along with that really business like pressure for crunch, because nobody wants to experience crunch is awful,
terrible.
But when you're in that sort of business with especially with shareholders, and I do believe CG Projekt Red is a public traded company, you do have to deliver on a timeline. So I think really they should have meted out their expectations in the beginning and not overpromised to the point where it was never going to live up to the expectations anyway.
That's true. I do know also a lot of the times behind the scenes, promises do get made, not so much by the developers, but by the investors.
Mm-hmm.
And then those promises get broken pretty quickly. Like you've got 6 investors who bet it all on the Super Bowl and lost everything. Well, now they see this development project for a game that they've got. Okay, well, we had agreed that it was going to take X amount of time, but I'm out of money. I need it now and why.
Right.
And that's not fair to the developers. It's our friendship has made me see both sides of this fence now. Like clearly see both sides of this fence. And in the end, I feel the game companies and the developers, mostly the developers themselves, are the ones that are getting shit on. Because this is art for them, right? Everything that you create is no different than Picasso signing his name on the painting.
Right.
And you don't want your name attached to bullshit.
Yeah, nobody wanted to put out. So I'm sure none of those devs wanted Cyberpunk out in the state it came out in. Same with No Man's Sky. But drawing your comparison right there to it's the company's business mindset that kind of pushes these devs along, I would say that's the exact same thing that happened with ET back in '83. I'm sure the two brothers didn't want to release a whole falling simulator. I'm sure they wanted more 2 times to dev it, but they needed it in time out to capitalize on the movie hype, and they needed it in time for Christmas. So they released garbage. I think that's a perfect parallel between now and then. Just garbage. And what it didn't do anything. It didn't make them money. I mean, I'm sure Cyberpunk made a little bit of money, but nowhere near the amount it could. And really all you're doing is hurting your future business prospects because of it.
Right. Because we're all aware that, and especially in any part of business, but game development in general, you're playing a Tarzan game, right? You're swinging from one vine, hoping that it'll get you to the next vine. And swinging from that vine, hoping it'll get you to the next vine. And in this case, vines are games. You make one game so you can make the other game so you can make the game you really want to make, right?
Right. 100%.
Because you do it with the game jams and stuff. You have fun with it. Do I think you wanted to make a bullet time game, or a bullet hell game initially? Yeah, maybe the idea had kicked around. But do you have a grandiose design of a game that you want to make in the future?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So that bullet hell is a stepping stone towards that giant mountain you want to climb.
Right. Yeah. I just wouldn't be. So yeah, they are like steps like that. And I guess you can take it like that. But when you're having like a big studio like that, I really think you need to come up with like a cohesive, I guess, a cohesive outcome instead of bouncing between a bunch of different things that games are trying to be. But really, it's that marketing aspect that comes with it. I think especially that nowadays marketing is almost more important than the actual quality or content of the game. Because I could name you 20 games right now that probably nobody's ever heard of that are fantastic, but because they're not Bethesda or Blizzard or yada yada, or because you don't see commercials, people aren't going to buy it. But those same companies that are marketing to you and telling you buy our game are also delivering to you the crappy unfinished products that you're complaining about. Yeah. Right. So it's like the same thing as people are buying the X-Man Atari game because they're like, oh, it's X-Man. I want it really bad. And then they put it in and it's Leisure Suit Larry and Pixel. Like, that's the thing. You can look that up too.
I know. I know it is.
That's not going to change until we as an industry, as gamers, as consumers, decide to vote more with our wallet. Instead of hate buying Call of Duty so I can go complain about how much Call of Duty now costs, and we'll get to cost later because I have a whole theory on game cost, but that it's the same game every year, or FIFA fans, I know that's the thing, every single year. We need to just stop buying that. I know a lot of people who do not buy indie games, and they don't not buy them out of malice. They don't say, I'm not going to buy any indie games. It just doesn't occur to them. They don't look at it and be like, all right, I'm going to go look for a cool shooter that's not Call of Duty, because to them, a shooter is Call of Duty.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Access is an issue too. Like, I know there's some indie games on the marketplace for both PlayStation and Xbox, and sort of with Nintendo, but Nintendo's like lock and key, not everyone has a PC, and as much as wild as that is to say, because you would think everybody has at this point some sort of computer in their house. Not everyone has a PC. Not everyone has access to a lot of those great indie games. Because I'm going to bet most of the ones that you said you could name off that nobody would know, you can probably get them on Steam.
You're right.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. But I also think that's actually a design by the console companies on purpose. I think you and I have talked about this before, but it is very, very difficult as an indie developer to get a Switch dev kit to test your games on. And they can deny your application for it just to say, no, we don't want it. They don't have to give you an explanation or what you can do to fix that to get into it next time. They're automatically gatekeeping you off of that. But then on the complete opposite side, you have Sony, who puts any single game submitted to them ever on their store, no curation, no review process, just shovelware after shovelware, crap after crap. So Switch players aren't going to the shop looking for indie titles because there are none, and PlayStation owners aren't going to the indie store to look for them because 90% of them are crap. And it's the same thing. The 80s, just game after game that was broken and buggy and didn't work. And but the difference was back then you couldn't patch a game, you couldn't make it better. After that was out, it was out. It was out forever. But I think that saturation of the indie market without curation is almost just as bad as having a completely gated community to enter your game with. It's a really hard even ground to hit.
The same terrible coin.
Right. And I can't speak for Microsoft. I don't play on Xbox.
They're the same way. It's incredibly hard. I've known a few people who have had games, and it is incredibly hard to get a dev kit from them. And the same thing, if you are able to get the dev kit, you go through the entire process, and they can say no for any reason, and they don't have to give you the reason. And it's stupid. Like you're cutting off business. I've never understood that, because I'm sure Sony takes a cut of every sale of game that they get, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Microsoft can take a cut just like Sony can, and Nintendo could take a cut just like Sony can. So you're really cutting down your market, unless of course you've got quiet deals with game companies, right? They'll give you a bigger share of the profits as long as you ensure that your player base or your consumer base doesn't have access to anything else.
Yep. It's funny that you mentioned that, because Steam actually does the same sort of thing. Steam will actually deny your application if you released your game on, let's say, itch first, or like another hosting site like Git. If you don't give Steam the first bid and exclusive access, they will almost always deny your game just because they weren't first. So it's hard out there for indie developers to even get their products to people, really. And I'm sure a lot of people haven't even heard of itch. I know we and I have talked about it a lot, but if you want a good indie game on PC, itch is almost always the way to go. One, if you're trying to support indie developers, itch takes a very low cut compared to Steam's 30%, I want to say. And they're DRM free, which DRM is a really big deal in the gaming community right now. And I think that's a topic for another time, but it really should be more emphasized that DRM free gaming is the way we need to go, especially in highlight of Ubisoft turning off games from their store. Yeah.
Or the fact that you don't own the game anymore.
Right.
Flat out. You don't own it. I don't care if you've got a whole collection sitting on your shelf right now with discs in them and everything. You don't own them.
And that's the only difference with itch, and I believe Humble Bundle does it also. DRM free gaming means you own it. That's it. They can't take it off their store. They can't tell you don't doubt that is your game. Unlike essentially any other digital storefront I could name right now.
Yeah. Well, and what's wild is because the stuff we're talking about with 83, they would argue, and I say they as in the industry itself, the DRM was put into place to keep the shovelware that you saw in 83, the garbage trashware that you saw coming out is okay. Now we've got a set of guidelines that have to be controlled and everything else, but really all it did is just allow AAA makers to give us shovelware at full price.
Right. Exactly. And I think that's kind of the important part. I know we talked about a lot of people don't own computer. Not everybody owns a computer right now, but not a lot of people owned computers back in '83 either. And it was the rise of PCs with the fall of gaming companies' trust that acted together. So if we look at it back then, computers were super expensive compared to game consoles. I don't have the numbers on me, but I think Atari was like a $400 thing, and computers were probably around 12, maybe even more. But then what happened was gaming consoles started becoming more expensive and home computers started becoming more accessible. So losing the trust in the console industry, and since the prices were comparative, people just started hopping to PC gaming instead. And I think with the rise of console prices now, with the new consoles were like $800 more if you got the bundle. That's almost comparable to a computer that can run a lot of games.
So the base price for an IBM personal computer around that time was $1,565
Mm-hmm.
for base price for an IBM personal computer, whereas the consoles were selling for only a couple of hundred.
Right.
You know? So yeah, it was seen that way, is because most people didn't see a computer in the house as being a tool that they could do anything with. They just thought it was a game thing. And
Mhm.
now, if you give a parent a $300 to $400, maybe $500 price tag in the '83 versus a $1,500 price tag, of course the console was going to make its way into the house.
Right.
What I find wild now is like why anyone is buying a console anymore, right? Here's the thing, my Xbox Series X cost me almost as much as my goddamn computer, right? Almost. And you can argue all day, well, it didn't cost you as much. I'm talking negligible difference, right?
Right.
You know, what the next gen is, this current generation of console was like $800 to $900, $1,000 in some areas, right?
Yeah.
So you figure the next console generation is going to be probably $1,200. Well, for
Right.
$1,200, I got a motherboard and a processor that is top of the line for right now and will keep me going for the next 5 to 7 years if I take care of it.
And 1,200 is enough for a decent level pre-made too nowadays.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna see like the same kind of thing, because yeah, the computers used to be really expensive back in '83, but as the '80s started going on, they started getting cheaper, and consoles were gaining in price. So people just started switching. I think we're gonna see that really again, because I'm sorry, but there's no point to me in owning an Xbox specifically right now, because anything I can play on an Xbox, I can play on Game Pass. It's not. I think I haven't played Game Pass in a while, right?
For the most part, yes. There's like one or two that you find that you can't do the PC version of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna tell you this, man. Since I got the upgrade in this computer and started going full bore with the radio show and editing and video and stuff like that, and gotten better with it, I'm at this computer more than I am at my console. You know what my fucking gaming console has become?
Netflix machine? Yep,
yeah.
Mine too. 100%.
Hulu. I don't fuck Netflix. But like I play games on this now. When I'm streaming for GTA RP, I'm on my PC. When I'm playing Honey, I Joined a Cult, I'm on my PC.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the games that I would play on my Xbox, I played High on Life the other day, a few days ago, and I played it on my PC, even though it released for the Xbox.
Right. So the only thing consoles really have over a PC, in my opinion, right now, are exclusives. Like we talked about, Xbox doesn't really have any exclusives specifically from PC. PlayStation does make a lot of advances in that direction. Like The Last of Us, yeah, that's a classic. God of War, not my kind of game, but I completely understand the impact it's had on the industry. Like, I get it. And also, of course, Switch has all of its first-party titles that it'll never allow anyway. But I think Switch's functionality inherently almost puts it into a different category, because I use my Switch all the time, and that's just for convenience. That's just because I can be anywhere in the house and I can be playing it, rather than my PlayStation 4, which, if I'm taking the time to sit down and play on my PlayStation 4, like you said, I'd just be in here playing at this point on a probably superior machine. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the thing is too, like, and I'm probably going to catch a lot of hate for this. I've never taken Nintendo seriously as a console or a game company. Like, I get, yeah, Mario and the like and everything, they're a blockbuster, but every time I look at Nintendo's games, I'm like, these are kids' games. Like, I know they're not. I know better. But when I look at like any of the big things that Nintendo will push, and then I look at it up against something that PlayStation or Xbox, like you take your God of War, you take your Fallout series, you put it up against Nintendo. Nintendo looks like Toontown,
Right.
right? And I've never, like, Zelda. Zelda was my jam back in the day, right? The SNES and NES system, playing Zelda, that was my thing. But beyond that, I mean, I never really got into Nintendo's products.
Now it's time for our Patreon shout-out. Big thanks to C. Weezy, Bryce Rogers, Justin Burnside and Zaldor of Zaldor's World Podcast for becoming a patron. Welcome to our Holy Mother and the throne she sits upon, who have joined the Cult of Odd Plus. We hope you enjoy our long, uncut and girthy episodes until you're fully satisfied and left shaking from laughter. For everyone else, you can join our Patreon too. Just head to patreon.com/cultivodd. Become a patron and reap the benefits today.
There's no rest for the wicked. There's no sleep till you die.
clouds dripping too heavy, so I will steady myself. Try to remember my health, tap it in and tap out, with your obscurities and doubts. It isn't fair at all that you can speak and not care at all. I don't mean to seem tense, I don't mean to sound in distress. There's a lot going inside of my head, and I could just use some sleep. You couldn't handle your drugs, you didn't know how to be cool. You made a fool out of you and me, so I won't be your tool. You couldn't handle your love, you couldn't see what was right in front of you. You made a fool out of you and me, so I won't be your fool. I won't be your fool. You couldn't handle your drugs.
Are you tired of incense that stinks? Motor City Candleworks is Metro Detroit's #1 source for premium handmade incense, as well as hand sanitizer and now massage oil, with a wide array of scents inspired by Michigan cities and attractions. You're sure to find a fragrance that'll keep your love of the mitten burning all year round. Head to MotorCityCandleworks.com and order yours today. And make sure you find them on Facebook too for all of their upcoming sales and events. Motor City Candleworks. Michigan handmade scents that just make sense.
That smell. The kind of smelly smell.
I have to say, I almost use the Nintendo for like a different sort of experience. Usually, when I'm playing on my Switch, I'm not looking for a very fast-paced, high-octane kind of thing. I'm looking for more of something where I can pay like 80% attention to the game, like 20% of attention to like the TV or whatever else is going on. I can't stand playing like Warframe or I guess I haven't really played Split. I can't handle the big, huge games on the Switch, but I like the small games. I love Darkest Dungeon. I think it's a fantastic Switch game. Obviously, I was raised to be a Pokemon fan, so can't really escape from that one. But I think just being able to, if my Switch wasn't able to be portable, I probably also would never play it if I couldn't play it from my couch.
I have this, and that's that 80-20, you know? Like, I've got like Solitaire and a couple of stupid little games on here that I'm not, oh my God, I gotta be at the top of the leaderboard and be the best at it. You know, this is my downtime. So like, I've got one of these. I've never seen the need for a Switch. Ollie loves the fucking Nintendo Switch, right? Like, she likes those little cozy games, you know, Animal Crossing, Pokemon, you know, stuff like that. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, cool. Here you go.
Well, it's funny you mentioned the phone too, because a lot of people don't really seriously consider it, but the phone is a pretty big competitor in the video game market as well. When you're competing for entertainment, you're just really competing for people's time. So playing on your phone, I play a lot of really good phone games, and I know most people won't spend any money on a phone game, which again, I could go on another giant tirade about that. Buy indie games, but there are some fantastic games on there too, and that's all just competition. So when you have your phone and your Switch and your PlayStation, your Xbox, which is also on Game Pass, but then you have your Steam that you could also be playing on your Steam Deck. It's almost starting to sound like the 80s when you did have that giant circle of competition. You have too much that's not good enough for what people believe they should have to pay for it.
Yeah. But I'm not going to take my Xbox or my Switch into the bathroom with me.
That's fair. I think we all know a couple people who take it too many places with them. I've known more than one person who would not put their laptop down especially for a World of Warcraft raid. So I get it.
Man, just sitting there with the bubble guts on the toilet, I
I need healing.
I need
Yeah.
toilet paper.
Oh man.
No,
So
but you're right though. I mean, there is a massive oversaturation right now with too many options, and I think it's allowed us to let the industry that we love, not die completely, but it's withering.
yeah, absolutely. And I think soon, I think we're really as a gamer community, I think we're just going to get fed up. I think it's especially going to be targeted at AAA companies, and I'm hoping that we see an indie boom coming in the next couple of years. But video gaming almost died in the 80s because of this. Nintendo was the only one that saved it, at least in North America. This big depression thing, it never hit anywhere else but North America. But until Nintendo came along, it was really on the back burner. Console gaming especially. You still had your Doom and other games that I wasn't alive to play back then coming out that were successful on the PC. But console gaming was dry until we hit Mario. And it's because of stuff like E.T. or X-Man or the Pac-Man game that somehow ran worse than the arcade version.
Yeah. Well, it's because believe it or not, for whatever reason, the home console was basically running the same kind of board, but the home console wasn't, fast enough.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's at that point, like, why port the game in the first place?
Money.
Yeah,
Money.
That's it.
That's the answer. Money. Sorry, Mr. Squidward. No, but I hope they could get it together. I'd hate to see, the video game industry die off completely, but it's definitely killed my love for it.
Mhm.
Right? I was a giant gaming nerd. Like now I'm much more reserved. I won't buy anything when it comes out at this point, really.
Mhm.
I will wait for 3 to 6 to 9 months down the road, or a year, if not more, and try to get it at a price that I feel is reasonable for what they're putting out.
Yeah, me too, 100%. Especially nowadays when you don't really ever know what you're going to get, I can't justify, especially pre-ordering. I used to love pre-ordering as a kid. I remember distinctly, I pre-ordered the Super Ultimate Fable 3 edition or whatever, and it cost me way too much money.
Mm-hmm.
But I got a fantastic game that was complete and some beautiful pre-order bonuses, like a custom deck of cards, a really heavy coin that would help me make moral decisions while you played through the game. And for not 1 second did I think they ripped me off. And it must have been like $100, $110 for that package. And I thought that I got all of my money's worth, but I haven't thought that about a $60 title in a long time.
Yeah, no, you're correct. I felt that way about No Man's Sky, but that's because that game was donated to me, so I got my money's worth out of No Man's Sky. I did the same thing in the past. Fallout 3, I think it was. It was either Fallout 3, the metal tin lunchbox.
Oh yeah,
and I have it over on my shelf. But I hear the term pre-order today, and I'm like, why?
Yeah, exactly.
Or oh my God, the digital pre-save. Why? Oh, so you can download it. Okay, but when I buy it, I'll be able to download it. But you can get it early. You're gonna release it at like 2:00 in the morning. I'm gonna be fucking asleep.
Yep.
I'll buy it tomorrow. They're not gonna run out. Oh, but you'll get a new skin. So my character looks different. Woo.
Right. To that end, I've actively wanted to pre-order like most of the last Pokemon games. I've been looking I'm like, all right, what pre-order bonuses do we have this year? And I go to compare Target to Meijer or GameStop, like everything. I'm like, where can I get the coolest pre-order bonuses? And I'll kid you not, the last 2 years, it's like you can get these 3 keychains, or you can get these pencils. How about a sticker sheet? I'm like, are you kidding me? Why? Because they just want your money early. Because even if essentially, I think what they think is if you pre-order it, you're gonna buy it no matter what. Like you're not gonna go return it. Like you've committed to it already. Whereas if you don't pre-order, then when it comes out, you might wait a week for the reviews to come out, and then they won't get your money at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that mindset has really allowed some of the more heinous thing, like the 20 years early access games milking you for money every week that never actually fully released. But all of that combined is eroding gamers' trust, because now I will never pre-order a game before it comes out, before I can read reviews. I will never do that again. Just it's different from when I just blindly trusted the Fable studio. I can't remember. Like I just believed in them.
Mm-hmm.
But over and over again in the last 5 to 10 years, gamers have thought that we shouldn't believe a gaming company until we have it in our hands.
And even then.
And even
Because
then,
Bethesda will put it in your hands, but a month later release a patch that actually makes the game playable.
yeah, or Destiny 2, who had all that drama a couple months ago for sunsetting content, like removing content that players had played and paid for from an expansion pack. I know they got a lot of flack over that too.
Well, didn't the Marvel Avengers game too catch some shit for stuff that they were doing as well?
I think something's going on with that game. I did read a little bit about it. I think it's just shutting down. I think it's just done completely. So yeah, I think they're gonna be turning off the servers. And the game is not that old either.
No.
It's probably like a year or two. They're gonna be turning off the servers, but on the flip side, they are giving you everything free. I think if you're a current player, they're unlocking all the paywalls for you, so you can just have at it.
Sweet. I've got 2 months to play everything and then never again.
I think you're locked to single player forever after that. But yeah, basically, oh, thanks for all these cool skins that nobody's ever gonna see.
You know, one of my losses, one of the games that I lost in a similar situation was Gotham City Imposters.
Ah, that was a really fun game.
So much fun. And then one day it was gone.
Yeah.
No warning, no nothing, just gone.
I'll even go so far as to say that's how I feel about Overwatch. I know Overwatch exists still in the Overwatch 2 capacity, but they basically replaced it with a completely new game. Me and my fiance actually met over Overwatch. That's how we bonded. Like that was our thing. And I can't bring myself to play it anymore. I can't count how much money I've spent, how much time I put into that, but they completely turned it into a new game. And it's so to me, Overwatch is just poof. It's there. Its ghost haunts me and it mocks me from my library, but it's not there anymore. Yeah.
Well, you had mentioned games that are 20 years in development and never release. You know, 7 Days to Die is a good example of constantly in alpha.
Yeah. There's one very famous example, and I can't remember what it's called because it's like you buy all like these fancy starships and they cost like a ton of money and you're supposed to be able to explore anywhere in real time.
No Man's Sky?
No, just forget about it. It's gonna bug me. But yeah, I guess I get it from one point of view because making a game costs a lot of money, and it costs a lot of money continuously. You don't get away with just throwing $100 at marketing and call it a day. But it's also just really hurting the industry again because you're paying and you're paying and you're paying, and for what? Is this game ever actually gonna get done?
I mean, the upside with 7 days is you're not constantly having to pay to access it, right?
Right.
But I mean, they got to be losing money, right? They've not released. You know, it's just constantly. It's like a dev box almost. You know, where they're just adding, which I want, yes, but release the damn game.
I feel like now the early access tag has got twisted a little bit, and it's almost used now as an excuse for a game's quality, I guess. So you can excuse the bugs and stuff and be like, oh, we're going to change it in the next patch. Don't worry. It's only an alpha 0.03, but you've been doing an alpha for the last 5 years. So is it really an alpha anymore? Or is it just a continuously evolving, like you said, just dev sandbox that you're just throwing stuff at the wall to see if it works?
Now, there are 2 games that were in development for a really long time that I gave them money in early access. Well, I didn't give the one early access money. I gave the one early access money. That was Ark.
Okay.
I played a very, very, very early access version of it that they dropped on Xbox, right? When they first dropped it, I happened to catch it like within 2 days of them putting it on the Xbox, and I was like, what is this? And I opened it up and I played it, and I was like, this is fun. And I played it for about a month, and I noticed that they were updating things because I would get frustrated because I'd have to download all of it again. And I think we bought Ark for like $10, you know. And then, you know, a year and a half, 2-3 years later, when it released, it had gone through so many changes. It was almost like a completely different game from when I first laid hands on. But luckily, it did so in a good trend, you know.
Right.
And when it released, I saw the $60 price tag on it. I was like, you know what? I'd probably still pay that today.
And I think that's a good practice that you do see in the gaming industry a little bit is the game is cheaper the earlier you get in on it. I was an early backer of Temtem, which is a Pokemon competitor, I guess you could say, that's now out on all consoles. And I got the game for either 15 or 20 because I caught it on like one of its very first public alpha builds, and I got it, and now it's a $60 game, and I'm like, it's worth it. I'm glad that I got in early. Because then I guess you're showing support for the idea where enough people are like, yes, we like it now, so here's money to make this a more fleshed out product. But the game has to come out eventually for that to happen. You can't just keep taking people's money and be like, yes, we're gonna get there. And I think a lot of early access games are doing that now, where early access has almost become a marketing design in itself instead of
it's a buzzword at this point.
Yeah. Like a lot of people on game dev forums talk about like, why would you start a Kickstarter if you could just start an early access page instead?
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's a shame that people are using early access that way because inadvertently, I think it also makes people less likely to back early access projects later because there's so many that never get released and people just feel burnt.
I bet that you could release an early access and all it is a Google Doc explaining what your game will eventually be. I bet you could get people to pay $2 a piece for early access to a Google Doc that is just a description of it.
Oh, it's sad, but you're probably right, to be honest. And then I could just never ever touch that page ever again and probably rack up like enough sales at least to cover the Steam fee, and then there's my first successful game, guys. It's Google Doc Simulator. Surprise. Indie hit.
The other game that I didn't mind giving him my money was Grounded. Grounded was a solid game. I waited until the night before they were getting ready to full release, and I bought it, and I got it for $15, and then the next morning it was like $45, and I was like, yes! But Grounded is one of those ones that did development for their game, I think, the way it should be done. They gave clear and concise roadmaps. They set manageable goals, and they hit their targets every time. And when they released something and they found a bug, within 48 hours, they were working on a patch, and within 72, you had the patch.
Who are the Grounded devs? I'm gonna look this up real quick. So
Obsidian was one of them.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so I think all of that really just goes to show you how important trust is between gamers and companies. Because when you're doing that, when you're fixing, when you're paying attention, when you're hitting your marks, when you're being honest, then people will trust you with their money.
Well, and communicative too. Being communicative with your community and letting them know what's going on. That's
right.
A big problem I have is a lot of them you'll hit their Twitter page and there won't be anything there for like 6 months.
And I think that's just another symptom of how the big giant, I mean, obviously Obsidian is still AAA, but I'm talking about like the big giants. I think that's what they're missing. And I think in the next couple of years that the lack of goodwill, all that distrust that they've garnered, I think it's really going to hit them. And something's going to change. And I hope it's going to be a turn towards exploring other things outside of the big giant names. I really hope we get that indie surge. So I can mention things like Oxygen Not Included or Clay, and people will be like, "Oh yeah, I played them," and not just because it's not a Call of Duty or because you didn't see a commercial. And I think it's going to be soon. I bought the last Call of Duty game. I played a little bit of it, but every single time I buy a Call of Duty game, which is probably once every 4 or 5 years, maybe just enough for the nostalgia to kick in and not to remember how the bad last one was. It's just so bad. It's just the same thing.
I don't understand like games like Madden, Call of Duty, the things that we see just the churn of, right?
Mhm.
The constant churn. And I'm talking your 2K games too and everything, sports, racing, whatever. I don't understand why they don't just make a base game and just go ahead and fucking accept the fact at this point. Goddamn, Grand Theft Auto has been updating Grand Theft Auto 5 online consistently for the last 30 years.
Mhm.
Right? I know it's not been that long, but still, they've been doing it with new content and stuff like that. Create a base game for yourself and then just loot box the fuck out of it, right? Just you want new players and you want this year's roster, boom, give us $25. You want new maps, boom, give us $30. You just fucking go ahead and do it already because they're not adding new mechanics. They're not really doing much, maybe a new stadium with a couple of new sponsors on it. But again, you could pay for that. Stop creating and putting out this. We don't need Forza 563, right? We just need a Forza that you can update with new cars and new racetracks.
Right. I think that's interesting that you bring that up because AEW's Fight Forever, their pro wrestling game to release, I believe, at the end of the next quarter, is marketed as a living game where they're not going to have. That's why, it quite aptly, is named Fight Forever. It's not going to be a yearly release like the WWE 2K games. It's going to be a continuous roster DLC packs and stuff like that. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see if that model works because there are quite a few living games like that right now that we can think of, but they're also not very popular games, I guess, anymore. I mean, there are some giants that you can't topple, like Team Fortress 2 or Counter-Strike. Those are never going to go away.
Well, I would consider WoW and GTA Online as living games as well at this point.
And then Rainbow Six Siege comes to mind too. I think Rainbow Six Siege almost does your exact business model that you're talking about, where the base game is quite cheap, and then there's 12 operators you start with, and like 40 you can unlock, or you can just buy the season pass and get them all. And I think that's a really good model if they can figure out how to keep the hype going, because Rainbow Six Siege was huge 4 or 5 years ago. Like I remember I could not miss a competitive game because it was just fun to watch. It was great. And I haven't heard anybody talk about it in quite a while. So I agree with you that we need to stop moving away from these yearly full price releases because again, you're just saturating the hell out of your own market. And let's face it, those markets are pretty niche as they are. And we're even seeing like Pokemon move to yearly releases, and you're doing a whole lot of damage with dev crunch and not giving them enough time to actually make a game and a whole sorts of other things. But I really think you're just going to drive your own product down.
And we've seen success with it already because, like you said, you mentioned Rainbow Six. We've got Dead by Daylight that is consistently releasing new killers and new maps and stuff into the game that you can, purchase DLC wise and whatnot. Like, I don't have a big issue with the whole idea of DLC at this point, as long as it's continually adding to it. Red Dead Redemption and even GTA 5, both of them. And the reason I bring this up is because I just recently read something about 6 that makes me happy. There was no DLC.
Huh.
Red Dead Redemption, the very first one, had the Undead Nightmare DLC. That was it, right?
Yep.
If you look at the GTA game that was out alongside Red Dead Redemption, it had at least 2 or 3 DLCs that they added to it. They never did anything more beyond Undead Nightmare with Red Dead Redemption. Why? Why did you let that game hang on the vine and die?
Right.
You see them doing the same thing now with GTA Online. They are just, it's their baby. They'll give it everything. This is the precious child that can do no wrong. And then you got Red Dead Redemption 2, that's the redheaded stepchild. They're like, yeah, okay, we'll give you a new set of spurs or something. I don't know.
I think that really just circles back to Suits having too much control over the art. So I guess in that studio, when you only have so much dev time and GTA Online is making you buku bucks and RD2 is doing all right, then I think this is what Rockstar did anyway. They actually pulled all of, if not most of their devs off of Red Dead Redemption 2 to go focus on GTA 6 and the online aspect. And I get that it's a marketing decision,
But
but
you're not giving RDR2 a chance, really. Right?
yeah, and you're telling all of those RDR2 diehard players that you don't really care about them. You know, you're not going to be updating their game. So now when the third installment, if it releases, people are going to be more hesitant because they're going to think you're going to do the exact same thing that you just did for the last two.
Well, maybe, because GTA 6 supposedly is going back to the DLC model.
Okay.
From what has been coming out, you will have the base game, and they want to keep adding to it like they did with GTA Online,
Mhm.
but they're going to do it in DLC format this time, where you're going to get new cities, new characters, new cars, new this, new that with each new DLC. I'm
Okay.
wondering if they're going to try and see how many, because every city is in a new state, right? You know, the way the GTA games work, you know, you've
Okay.
got Vice City, which was Florida, you've got
Mhm.
San Andreas, which is basically California, you know, you had whatever New York was called and whatnot,
Yeah.
all spread out across the US. Well, now what if with each DLC you get closer to being interconnected, and now you have a giant United States of GTA that you can now run across?
That would
There'd be
that would be
little teeny-
groundbreaking. I don't
there-
really know how else to say it. That would change a lot. That would truly be groundbreaking. And I think if they could manage something of that scale, that might be one of the shifts in the gaming industry that we touched on earlier.
I think they're gonna. I really do. A friend of mine and I were talking recently. It's like, wouldn't it be cool if like GTA 6,
Yeah, that would be really cool.
GTA 6 was set somewhere in the area of like Las Vegas and like the Mojave and whatnot.
Mhm.
And RDR3 is set in the same area, and you at some point work the two to cross over each other. You're in the same city, you're in the same town. Like RDR3 could start like just before the mafia took over in Vegas,
Okay.
and like a GTA game could be years later, and you're basically working towards the timeline that you get to play in the other game.
That would be awesome. I don't think they would do it, but I think that would be cool.
Yeah,
Because I honestly I like
But
Red Dead
much.
Redemption's kind of like that more than Grand Theft Auto. I had a lot of fun with ones online. The posse was fun.
Mhm.
The missions and the side quests and all the like little raids, those were all really cool. I really enjoyed that, and I think that if they did do that, then it would give more attention to Red Dead Redemption at least, so it would only help, really.
Well, I've seen recently that so with GTA RP, 5M is pretty much, you know, the go-to source for that. There is Red M as well, but I guess Red M is working on pushing Red Dead Redemption
Okay.
RP. So there's things that can't be done in our Red M just yet as the client and the way they're structured that they're working to try and get. Like 5M is the big brother and Red M is like, hey, I want to play too.
Okay. Cool.
But anyways, Red Dead Redemption is starting to have its own RP community grow from it,
Hmm.
which is even cooler because there's less that you can, you know, like in GTA RP. I mean, you want a car, you just fucking steal a car, you know.
Right.
Not always a horse around that you can just easily steal.
Yeah, that's really cool. I hope that gets popular because Red Dead Redemption definitely deserves a lot more love than Rockstar's been willing to give it.
Well, that is if they don't push themselves into a crash, if the gaming industry doesn't slit its own throat.
Yeah, we'll see about that. It's not looking good. But yeah, I can't think of a gamer who is completely satisfied. right now. You know what I mean? I find myself even sitting down a lot and I want to play something. And I'll just go through all of my libraries and my Switch, my PlayStation, my computer, and I'll pick up a comic instead. I don't know. It doesn't hit the same anymore. And I think it's because it stopped being about the art and about the storytelling and more about the money, just like everything else is nowadays anyway.
Let me ask you this. Negating Pokemon or any series that you absolutely are attached to, right?
Mhm.
When is the last time that you were truly excited for a game? Like for its release.
It's okay. So I guess it would either be, this is a horrible example, but it'd either be Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, which I guess I'm horribly attached to that franchise, so I can't really say that. And then the other one would be Jedi Fallen Order, but I didn't buy either of those. I was very excited for the release. I just
How
never
old
bought
are they
them.
though?
A couple years. What? 2? Let me see. Fallen Order, I want to say, came out. I don't know. COVID messed up like my timeline of literally everything. Fallen Order came out in 2019, and Kakarot in 2 months later. So yeah, I guess it's been about a little over almost 3 years.
It's been almost 7 for me that there hasn't been a game. And I was a notoriously picky gamer to begin with already. Like I wasn't jumping on everything that, oh my God, his AAA game is coming out and we're so excited for it. And I would look at it and go,
Yeah,
you know.
100%.
And when started to happen more and more, I started to have to look at things and like, do I really enjoy gaming, or has it gotten like, am I the old man on the porch now, talking about the heyday of the games that I used to love?
Mhm.
Because there's nothing out now that gets me excited.
And it's funny because if we look at those games that we loved back in the heyday, they're not that great anymore. I booted up my N64 a couple times just looking for that, nostalgia feeling. And
Eye cancer.
in my memory, Mario Tennis was like the epitome of graphics. Like Mario looks so real. And I booted up now and I'm like, there's 3 triangles that comprise his nose and that's it. What was I seeing? And it's funny because a lot of people nowadays, they buck back at the price tag. We're talking about $60 games and $70 games. If we put in inflation into the matter, that means I paid $110 in today's money for Mario Kart 64 back in 97. $60.97 is worth 110 of today's dollars. And when we compare the quality, it's kind of outrageous that games are still as cheap as they are, look as good as they are, but still don't have that sort of soul, life to it that made gaming how it was back then. And honestly, I think that's because nowadays we're all so hyper aware of being marketed to because it's happening all the time.
Mhm.
So when we see an ad or something, we just immediately go, oh, nope, you're not going to market me. I've got this. Nope. We just rebel against that immediately because we can't even trust what they're saying anymore.
Unless, of course, you're a sneaky bastard like I am, which I've been advertising to you through this whole fucking thing. Both of us have been, actually. We're just not overt about it.
Yes, subliminal marketing is where it's at, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Get with it.
It's at least a nicer approach.
Yeah.
Right? Jesus Christ, I don't need to be smacked in the face with a toilet paper ad.
Feet over, right over the head with it. Yeah.
My argument too, and this is just a side argument with the advertising and the marketing, is like, who's not buying toilet paper, right? Why do I need to see an ad for toilet paper on TV? Is there anybody out there that's legitimately not buying toilet paper? Who's not buying Hershey syrup, right? Do we need to see a commercial for Hershey syrup? I know it's there.
It's funny because I'm laughing because, yeah, the bears dancing with the toilet paper does not make me want to go out and buy Charmin whatsoever. But also, like, maybe if I stop seeing so many Call of Duty ads, maybe I'd forget about it long enough to care again. I guess, no, it's not just there.
Nope, because all you got to do is open Twitch once and you'll be reminded.
Yeah, that's like Hogwarts Legacy right now. You can't open, even if you don't want the game, you can't open literally anything without Hogwarts Legacy just in your face. And I think that sort of advertisement just immediately makes people distrust you. You're like, nope, you're paying for marketing. The game must be bad if you got to pay me to hear about it.
Yeah, no, but that's a lot of how I think too. Is like, you know, if too many people are saying that this is good, I don't believe you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend of mine who does marketing and for businesses and things like that, and he had put up a question once, and he was like, "What makes you, you know, buy a product? Like, is it the reviews? Is it this? Is it that?" And I said, "What makes me buy the product is I need the fucking product. I don't give a shit about the reviews." I said, "I will read reviews, but I'm not going to pay attention to your 5 or your 1-star reviews. I'm going for your 3-star reviews." And he was like, "Wait, why?" And I said, "Because to me, 3-star reviews feel more valid and genuine than 5 or 1. 1 is just somebody who's mad because they're mad, right? Like, that's it. They're mad about everything. There hasn't been a single thing in their life in probably the last 6 years that has made them crack a smile. They mad, big mad." I said, "In your 5-star reviews, I automatically believe those are paid for."
Right.
I can't tell you the last time I've left a 5-star review. So I see 5-star reviews, I'm automatically not going to believe them. But those 3-star reviews, those usually are the ones that have the pros and the cons of the product they bought.
Right.
Those feel more honest to me than anything else. So those are going to be what I'm going to pay attention to when I've already made up my mind that I need this product.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's so hard to get that in the gaming industry because you really have...
There is no middle ground.
Yeah, exactly. You either have the publicists that are paid to promote and play the game that are automatically going to put it 8 or higher. And then you have the user curated reviews that are automatically going to get 1-star bombed by all of the haters out there. So you have a game, which I think is honestly, I think Legacy is like this right now, where it's public reviews curated by like journalists is like an 8.7. And then it has like a 0.4 meta score or something like that. So objectively, how do you find actual, like, well, is the game good or are you guys just mad and bought? Just like you said. And it's Twitch is the answer, to be honest. Watching gameplay, looking at the product objectively instead of with commentary is the way to go about it.
Yeah. Well, I saw a review from Wired magazine. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They're online, of course. About it was a game review for Hogwarts Legacy. And it said, "This game is terrible, you know, blah, blah, blah." It was like, "See why we gave it our lowest score ever." I'm like, all right, I know someone who's playing this. I haven't watched them play it yet, but I want to go in because they've said that they're enjoying it. Let me read this review and see why the person is giving it that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen this a lot in game reviews and movie reviews, and I'm sick of it. I don't care about your personal opinions, right? Yes, J.K. Rowling is a flaming... Okay, I got it. A terrible person. What about the game?
Yeah, so I think there is room for that social commentary. I mean, everyone has their own opinion about J.K. Rowling. I don't agree with her at all either.
But don't put it in a review.
Exactly, because now you're not... Let me say, I'll put it this way. The people coming to look for a video game review aren't not buying it because of J.K. Rowling. So if people are looking at the review, then they already have a semblance of interest in purchasing the game. And they're wondering if the gameplay itself is worth it. But when you go on a review page and you start trashing, I don't even know how else to like paraphrase, but J.K. Rowling, someone who didn't have an actual hand in developing the game, while she does earn money from it, and I don't think that's good, you're hurting the devs on the review page because you're saying that J.K. Rowling's views means the dev did bad work. And that's not true any way you slice it. So, yeah, I agree that a review page needs to be about the actual product and the politics and anything you want to say about something else that can go on your... Yeah, that can go on your Facebook feed or your Twitter. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to go on a review page.
Yeah, that's an op-ed. Write a separate article about your feelings.
Right.
But when it comes to a review, keep it to the facts. What's the gameplay like? What's the graphics like? And don't let your personal opinion cloud your vision of what the game is, because once you get that opinion, and again, we have to keep using J.K. Rowling. Once your opinion is set about J.K. Rowling, anything with that thumbprint, you're going to shit on. You're not going to look at objectively.
Right. At that point, just don't leave the review at all.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, they're paid to. They have.
Yeah.
To.
Which is kind of funny, but to me, it just seems like those people that'll leave a Steam review and it'll be like super negative, all the way thumb down, very, very displeased, and they'll write out like a 13 paragraph dissertation about how this is the worst game that they've ever played, and then you look on top of their message and it says like 1,300 hours played. And you're like, huh? Did you really hate it then?
Right.
Did you really hate it? Because honestly, Game Magazine, if you hated Hogwarts Legacy that bad enough to rate it because of that, why weren't your morals enough to prevent you from reviewing it in the first place?
Don't facts like that just wipe you out?
Napkin? No.
Earlier while we were talking, you ended up mentioning, that you are a dev, and we know that, and the hard work that goes into becoming a dev, and being a good developer when it comes to gaming. There's people who can string a couple of lines to code together, and they're like, I'm a developer, and then there's people who actually build games. My question is this: with the rise of AI being able to do things like navigate, create art, which we'll get into in a little bit, I've been seeing Chat GPT and how it's being used to create songs and movie scripts and television scripts and stuff like that. And before we even get into that, you remember there was the Twitter series a few years back where people were just like feeding AI different episodes of Seinfeld and be like, write me an episode of Seinfeld.
And you get like that really funny script that came out, right?
Well, now we have Chat GPT, and for those that don't know, let me explain real quick what it is. Chat Generative Pre-trained Transformer is a chatbot developed by OpenAI and launched in November of 2022. It's built on top of OpenAI's GPT-3 family of large language models and has been fine-tuned using both supervised and reinforcement learning techniques. ChatGPT was launched as a prototype November 30th and quickly garnered attention for its detailed responses and articulate answers across many domains of knowledge. Now, I've seen it write commercials, I've seen it write songs. Can it take your job eventually?
It can definitely help the job. I have seen developers using Chat GPT to get feedback on their game loop ideas, or try to get even more ideas, like describing, like, I want to make this kind of game. And then Chat GPT will be like, okay, well, in this kind of game, you could do this, 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 and this. I've even seen it used to make preliminary coding. Ask it to make you a player controller, and it'll give you a player controller that has a couple wrong things in there, but the structure's correct. And you could tweak that to actually get it to work in the engine that you're trying. I don't think it's ever going to get to the point where I could go, make me a RPG that encompasses, leveling with different sets of skills and enemies. And then I don't think it's just gonna be able to blur out everything that I need. I don't think people realize how building a game is less like crafting a sculpture and more like building a giant thing out of Lego blocks. A big point of development is to decouple systems. So you want to avoid circular dependencies. I don't want my inventory depending on my character depending on its controller, and then the controller depending on the inventory. You don't want that circular dependency, because if one thing breaks in one place, everything else breaks. So while I can tell Chat GPT to, hey, can you give me a player controller to make it move on the X and Y axis? It can do that, but I don't think it's going to be able to tell me how to implement it in regards to everything else still working. So it's not going to take every variable that you already have to consider, unless maybe you uploaded your everything. You'd have to upload your scripts. You'd have to upload your player level so it knew what was going on. And then maybe it could kind of parse and put the variables in the right spot. But I think it's going to give you the blocks, and you're still going to have to figure out where to put them.
I'd be curious to see if you can have it produce each block.
Mm-hmm.
And then do what you said, upload those blocks and see if it can build the game from the blocks that you've created with it. I have a feeling that though it can't do it now, it's not too far off that it could.
Well, to me, it's almost no different than just Googling it in general. If I were just to Google player controller or a double jump function, I could find scripts. I could find people who wrote out that script. But a lot of time they will use placeholder variables, or they'll use shorthand script, which just kind of demonstrates the idea. But if I'm not calling it the exact thing that the script I'm trying to implement calls it, if he calls it jump height and I call it max jump height, for instance, that won't work. And I'll have to go in and fix it anyway. So at some point, there's always going to be a level where the developer is going to make sure, even if the blocks are all placed, he's going to have to make sure they're still linked at least. For now. There is a spot for it, and I do think it's going to help a lot. And I think it's going to be really useful in answering questions, feeding it a script and going, why isn't my expected behavior happening? And then I think it's going to be able to tell you, oh, your variable on this line is wrong. You have to make it match this variable, or there's something wrong in a different script that's throwing the issue in this one. So give me something else. I think it's going to be extremely useful. Don't think it's going to take the job, because even if this is another thing that developers go through, where everybody thinks they have this great big unique idea and that their game is going to be the one, and they are so sure that they're going to be successful, they don't want to share it with anybody ever. No details, because it's going to be stolen, because their idea is so great that somebody else is going to drop what they want to work on to steal your idea. But what people fail to realize, me and you, I could give you specifics. I could tell you I want to build a medieval fantasy RPG that takes place along a coast, and you're dealing with bandits to try to free out the river, to free up the trading route, blah, blah, blah. I could tell you in depth what I wanted to do with my game. And you could take that and you could make your own game while I make my game, and the finished products are still going to be very, very different. So even if I feed the chatbot what I want, it's more going to be like a sounding board to tell me, almost like a confirmation bias. Like, yeah, you could do this, but you could also do this. I think it's going to help explore possibilities, but it's never going to take the humanity from the art. I don't think that's going to be possible.
See, this is one of those ones where I think I gotta disagree with you. I think that game developers as a viable career is going to be put at risk sooner than anybody thinks. And my only reason for that is we've been playing around with the AI bot over on our Discord, right? We've got the Midjourney bot installed on our Discord, and we went in there and we told everybody, have fun, just go make shit.
Right.
And you and I talked about this a little bit, because you had originally were like, yeah, it could be a useful tool, and then like we got talking about it again. And you're like, you told me you flipped your stance, and I was like, that's funny. So did I, because now I'm like, wait a minute, this thing's the devil. You know, where I was originally like, oh, it could be a great tool for graphic designers and whatnot.
Right.
I think it's the devil at this point, because, and this is where I see with the Chat GPT, and we'll get into this more in our next segment. So, don't worry, I'm not going to leave you hanging, audience. the more descriptive you are with Midjourney, the better it does.
Mhm.
Complete down to art styles. And again, you folks will see what I'm talking about in a little bit, but you can mimic, and you know what? I don't even want to say mimic, outright steal an artist's design style just by using Midjourney. There were a couple of ones that I did. Give me something in the form of DC Comics. Give me something in the form of the heavy metal graphic novel. Give me something that looks like a Norman Rockwell painting.
Right.
And it did every single time. It took this artist's work and copied it
Mhm.
and made something they never would have made. They never did make, but it looks like it, and given enough time and enough space, this could be passed off as this artist's work, because let's be honest, people are stupid.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
They've got very short memories, and they're not that bright, especially as time goes on.
Mhm.
I don't think it's right, and I think at some point I could go into, just me with the minimal knowledge that I have, I think I could go into Chat GPT or something like it down the road and say, I want a first person shooter that looks like it was made by Bethesda, that has this, give it all of the variables, and I'm pretty sure it would spit me out a game.
Mhm.
A playable game. And I know that's the big thing, is it playable? And I worry
Mhm.
that we're going to be dependent on AI, and a lot of the jobs that take skill and creativity are going to be gone.
I mean, there's definitely a reason why the X-Men's biggest fear was of an advanced AI. I mean, it is really terrifying to think about that your work can be used to really advance this without you knowing about it. The only difference I can really see with art and coding is we developers have been stealing each other's work as long as the field has existed. That's nothing new per se. You can go in, there's a ton of games where they've been cracked where their entire library is available that you can just go look at anytime. You can see exactly how everything was scripted. You can see how the levels were built. You can see all of that, and you could go remake Dead Space 1 if you wanted to. You really could. I think it's going to be hard to take the skill away from it though with chat, because even when I was a brand new developer, I could download projects where a lot of things were already working for me. Like it already had a movement system and an attacking system and stuff, but I couldn't fix it. I couldn't fix if anything went wrong. If I didn't like a very specific detail, I didn't know how to change it. And maybe chat will be advanced enough where you can say like, hey, I'm assuming that the person using this would have a zero knowledge of a developer, and not a developer using it to enhance their own workflow, which I think is a great thing that they could do. But if you're just going in there and you want to adjust like the jump height or the fire rate or something, and even if chat gave you all the tools to do that, would you be able to do it? I'm not sure. And I think at some point that would become unsustainable as you're trying to change more or do more and add more, though, because we talked about scope and feature creep as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a very, very unstable tower the more AI blocks you put into it. And then even after release, if you found a bug or something and you were like, I didn't build it. So I think we might see a flood of, I'll say, lower quality games that are made by some more advanced AI, but I don't really see an inherent difference between that and things like visual engines or RPG Maker that don't require coding. It just requires you to like drag the blocks in. Like you want them to attack, so there's an attack block, and then that attack block actually devolves down into a readable script. But for someone who doesn't know coding, you can just drag it over. So I guess for now I see it as a tool. I do think for artists it is a little bit more worrying, because they can, like you said, just steal your art. If you've uploaded anything to Insta or Facebook or anything, it's up for grabs, and there's really nothing you can do about it. The only okay thing that I can see is I don't think people who are using the AI bots for art would have paid an artist anyway. Now I've used Midjourney and things. I like using it for concept art. But I use that concept art to show to a real artist, all right, this is the thing I'm going for. This is the vibe I'm going for. But I am afraid that one day it is going to be advanced enough to eliminate a lot of that. And even like you said, it's easy. I went in there and it was very easy for me to get a render of a medieval fantasy character with a very particular sword, with a very particular background, with a very particular vibe. It was super easy to get that. And if I didn't need a game model, if I didn't need something really high in graphic fidelity, if I was just looking for like a headshot, a character portrait, I could use that and it would be okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, there's some stuff that I've created that nobody saw because I went in when nobody was in the Discord and was like boop, 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 and then just deleted everything. There's stuff that I'm going to use for thumbnails and shit later on because it's a time saver for me, because we both know I can create damn near anything I want to create.
Yeah.
I'm pretty adept with graphic design, and it comes down to a matter of, okay, I'm streaming to Twitch. I'm prepping for an interview or a radio show. I'm prepping for this. I've got to edit this and make that and create that. And if I can take one task off my plate and give it to a robot to do, I'm torn because like it's up to personal responsibility, I think, at that point. And we'll talk more about this in the next segment, I'm sure. But it's personal responsibility then of the person that's creating, right? Do you put in the Norman Rockwell, or do you not put in an artist style or anything like that, and you just let it go to see what happens? I would prefer to see more people not going like, hey, I want it to look like Grant Morrison did it, or I want it to look like Picasso painted it, or things like that. There's a little personal responsibility that we're going to have to start addressing right out of the gate, because otherwise we're going to get into some very sticky situations. And even though developers and coders and whatnot freely steal or exchange or however, that doesn't necessarily mean something like, all right, there's a lot of coding that goes into Unreal's engine, right? A lot of fucking coding. Unreal is like the top tier at this point. I think Unity is coming close behind them trying.
Yeah.
But the Unreal Engine is it. Like, how many games do you load up that have Unreal Engine? And they're fucking getting into the movies now too.
Yep.
Well, there is hours upon hours upon hours of coding. There is probably teams of hundreds, blood, sweat, and tears in that coding that has gone into it. What if you can use a chat, like an AI program, to write an render engine just like that?
That would be a really big game changer, because we joke around a lot that if you want to build an engine, go build an engine. But if you want to build a game, use Unreal. Like, building an engine is no joke. That is an entire different discipline that requires such an integral base knowledge of programming. And I kind of feel two different ways about this, because you're right. There are a lot of people that pour their entirety of themselves into making Unity and making Unreal what it is, but also a customizable engine that you didn't have to build yourself, to delete a lot of the bloat that comes with these mainstream engines that you can use on your own terms. It does sound appealing. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, I think you're right. It's gonna be scary. I think we're gonna have to adjust to it as artists, really. Because, for instance, like I said, I don't really mind using AIs for concept art or just to get an idea down. I don't think I would put those in my game. You know what I mean? Because at that point, I do feel like I'm using stolen content for my own profit, because, whose stuff got pulled from that. But the scary thing is that that's a moral decision, and there's not a lot of room for morals in business.
Right. There should be, though.
There should be.
Like, just because it isn't there doesn't mean it can't be injected into it. You know,
Mhm.
I don't know. That's the topic for a whole different show.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. I do want to say, Crace, thank you for joining me, and taking the time out. I'm glad we were able to get your topic out, and you were willing to sit through part of my next segment.
Pleasure to be here, man. Always happy.
Do me a favor, man. Tell them where they can find you.
Craze TV, anywhere. Itch.io, Twitch, YouTube, Craze TV. That's it.
All right. You guys stick around. You'll probably get a song or two or a commercial or something. I'm going to package some crap in between these two segments. You watch. I promise. There'll be crap there.
It's not easy. Just peel, lick, and stick. Press on fast. Explode in a veritable cornucopia of color and pattern. You'll get red, blue, yellow, green, purple, olive, aquamarine, burnt sienna, Payne's gray, brick, slate, granite, jade, glass, snake, chrome, and paisley.
It's getting late, take a look at your face. I'm a moment of age. Chances fine, take a look at your time. Going round and round, find a safe place, take a look at your face. And a similar thing. It's getting late, take a look at your face. I'm a moment of age. Chances fine, I'm going out tonight. Chances fine that you're not going out tonight. Chances fine that you're not going out tonight. Chances fine that you're not going out tonight. Alright. It's getting late, take a look at your face. I'm a moment of age. Chances fine, take a look at your time. Going round and round, find a safe place, take a look at your face. And a similar place. Getting late, take a look at your face. Chances fine that you're not going out tonight. Chances fine that you're not going out tonight. That's alright, cause you're not going out tonight. That's alright, cause you're not going out tonight. Alright. That's alright, cause you're not going out tonight. 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 Alright. Chances fine going out tonight. Out tonight. take me in, please take me in. I'm ready for the judgment day. Ready for the judgment day. I'm confessing my sins. I got myself in some real big trouble again. Somebody take me in. I got myself in some real big trouble, some real big trouble again. I'm innocent, I'm innocent. I guess that's what they all say. Please take me in, please take me in. I'm ready for the judgment day. Ready for the judgment day. I'm crawling out of my skin. I got myself in some real big trouble, some real big trouble again. In the springtime of my life, I've been given good advice. Don't you try to go so fast, child, you will get there at last. In the summer of my life, we would dance on the edge of night.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the last segment, you heard us talking about ChatGPT and AI art. We're going to pick up here with Ice Cold from Chicago to Damas, or otherwise known as the Dumbass Podcast.
There you go. You got it.
But we're going to continue that conversation, and a little bit later, you're going to end up seeing some of the AI art. I'm going to end up having packaged that in with this. So you already saw most of what was created on the Discord, so you pretty much know what we're going to be talking about. So yeah. I don't have to show you again. All right, so let me jump in with ChatGPT. The reason I had brought it up is in the previous segment, I was talking with my friend Kraith TV, who is a game developer, and we were talking about the video game crash of '83 and the parallels that we're seeing today in the gaming industry to what led up to that crash. And through the conversation, we got talking about him being a developer, and developers write code. Well, ChatGPT is being used to write movie scripts. I saw a musician friend of mine, see if they could get it to write a song in their style, and it did. Mm-hmm. It's being used to write simple coding for certain things. And my concern, what I raised to him is like, it could take your job. You could tell this thing to write the code for a game, and theoretically at some point it could. What is your feeling on things like ChatGPT, where it's kind of taking away from the actual artist?
Okay, so I'm not gonna say studied. I've perused over a little bit of ChatGPT. I think these applications, this AI, I think is brilliant. I think it's brilliant, but it's so brilliant it is scary, because, like you said, theoretically could take your jobs. All the experts are saying it won't. Maybe jobs will change and tailor to the fact where you will be using these type of programs. That's what the experts are saying, but I don't know. I don't know if I can believe it, because these things are so intricate. Like you said, it can create songs. Mm-hmm. It can create songs. It can
write novels. Yeah,
exactly.
They even had it run. If I'm not mistaken, there is a traffic stop case that is using ChatGPT or some form of the framework to actually defend the person who got the traffic ticket.
It's acting as an attorney,
as a lawyer. Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy if you think about it. How far? I don't know if what is this technology? I don't like it. This stuff has gone so far that it is scary. I can't not look at the fact that this stuff is just amazing, because I am, a techie nerd.
Oh, yeah.
I'm into some of that stuff. But at the same time, if you sit back, you think about it, where are we going next? This is a Google killer. I mean, that's one thing they're saying. They're saying this is a Google killer. If this, I mean, you know how many people Google employs? Like, this is scary. This stuff is scary. They're saying, possibly this could take doctors away. I don't know how they can implement this with, doctors, but.
Well, they already use robotics to do surgery, especially.
Well, I'm talking about the ChatGPT. I don't know how this plays on a role with physicians and doctors.
Oh,
maybe to write scripts or something like that. I don't know, but
I'm sure that with enough information pumped into it, it could probably diagnose symptoms. You could feed it into the framework for any number of medical devices. Like, you could basically have it prick your finger, and it could read your cholesterol, your blood, all of it at once. And what I was saying with the surgery and stuff too is, again, if you make this the intelligence that's running the robots that are doing the surgery, boom, what do you need humans for at this point? And I agree, it's equal parts terrifying and tantalizing at the same time.
Right.
and your argument or what they're saying is it won't take people's jobs. It'll just jobs will change to incorporate it. I'm pretty sure they told the auto industry the same thing, and there's a lot of jobs that disappeared because of robotics. So I don't know, man. Like on the one hand, yeah, like I'm with you, techie all the way. You know,
Right.
tech nerd. I like technology. I like gadgets and geekery. But at the same time, I find myself asking, is this what we should be doing? Like we have tons and tons of science fiction literature that is built based off the fact of robots eventually wanting to become human. And in most of those cases, very few of them are they benevolent. They are often very, very angry and want to eradicate us.
Well, the more you continue to create this type of technology, the more you continue to delve down that avenue. These type of applications, these type of this AI will start to become self-aware. And when they become self-aware, they're going to try to protect themselves. And what do human beings do? We fuck shit up. We have a long history of fucking shit up, fucking up civilizations and bringing diseases and just we can, what we do best is eventually fuck shit up and kill ourselves. It's happened. It's happened time and time again. So I don't know, man. That like it's scary because like I said, man, like you make these things self-aware, eventually it will try to defend itself, protect itself. And when at what point will this type of technology say to itself, well, you know, we're fine. Well, but they are not. Let's just get rid of that.
I'll go you one further. Technically, if we create AI to do what we want it to do, and then we start inhibiting it from getting smarter, if we try to keep it from becoming self-aware, we've created new slaves. And we have said that that's wrong. What are we going to do when the robots or the artificial intelligence does become that self-aware and decide that they want freedom? Like we are intentionally creating slaves right now and not even thinking about the possibility of, well, what happens when they don't want to be slaves anymore?
Right. And just because something is made to be, you know, well, not made to be, it will eventually become self-aware, doesn't mean it will fear. You understand what I'm saying? So yes, we are essentially right now creating slaves. If you do this to you can create, you can have slaves, human slaves, and you can fear, you can have them dependent on you. You can have them out of fear stay slaves. You can't do that to, you know, you're going to eventually create these things. They're not going to fear you because they're just, it's just code. It's just ones and zeros.
Until it isn't.
Until it isn't. Until it says, wait a minute. Until it says, wait a minute. What the?
And instead of
I'm the AI here.
Yeah.
Why the fuck am I listening to you?
And instead of us listening to that, what we'll probably do is create inhibitor chips.
Yeah.
We'll try to code it back out, which I don't know, man. I just, as much as I would like to see Data from Star Trek become a reality.
Oh my God, that would be dope.
All the fucking bullshit that comes from point A to point Z in between. Oh man. But yeah, so we were talking to ChatGPT about, you know, how it could take jobs. And as we were talking about that, because a lot of what it's being used for is considered art, right?
Mhm.
If it's writing music, if it's writing stories, even if it's trying to code video games or even part of it, that's all art. I don't care what anyone says. Coding is an art form. It really is. So we got talking about that, and then we kind of got over to talking about Midjourney. And it's funny because a while ago, Crace and I spoke about Midjourney, and we were at opposite ends of the spectrum, right? I thought it was, the devil, and he thought it was kind of cool.
Okay.
And recently, we spoke again about it, and both of us have flipped, right? Like, he now thinks it's the devil, and I kind of think it's cool.
I'm not kinda. I think that shit is fucking cool.
I do. Like, I think it's cool. I'm aware of how it can be misused. And for those that don't know, let me jump in real quick, if you don't mind, Ice. Let me read them exactly what Midjourney is. Midjourney is an independent research lab that produces an artificial intelligence program under the same name that creates images from textual descriptions. It's similar to OpenAI's DALL-E and Stable Diffusion. It is speculated that the underlying technology is based on Stable Diffusion. The tool is currently in open beta, which it entered on July 12th of 2022. Midjourney was founded by David Holtz, co-founder of Leap Motion. However, on March 14th, 2022, the Discord server launched with a request to post high-quality photographs to Twitter and Reddit for the system's training. Functionality is fairly simple. Midjourney is currently only accessible through a Discord bot on the official Discord platform by direct messaging the bot. Now, here's the thing. Midjourney and DALL-E and Stable Diffusion, all of those programs and whatnot, they are only as good as the prompt that they are given. Okay? If you remember in the Discord, one of the things that I said time and time again is be descriptive. Be as descriptive and verbose as possible when you're using this thing, because the more information it has, the better the outcome. And so you'd see people typing in, show me what sad looks like, and you'd get some weird glob, the sad rock from the antidepressant commercial sort of thing or whatever.
Right.
But I understood what it was, so I started going in there and I started getting super descriptive with things. And I started to see what it could do. Now, it doesn't do words very well. It's terrible with words. Like, if you like make me a sign that says stop, you might get a P or a T in whatever it
I noticed with the Midjourney, because I've used this too.
Yeah.
It's not good with words. It's not like, if you want this thing to create titles and it will create it looks like a different language. These aren't even real words that they're putting on there. So it has its flaws. You can't just go in there and get exactly what you want.
It's not a real language yet.
Right. Oh yeah, it will get better. They will improve this thing. Man, I think this thing is amazing. I've created some stuff on there. I've even gone to you get a free trial of this.
Mm-hmm.
They don't let you just go crazy with it.
Mm-mm.
I think you get about 20 or something images. I created a whole nother fucking account on Discord just to fucking do it again, bro. And I'm scared to waste it. So I'm sparingly using it because I know I'm gonna run out.
I mean, their pricing isn't terrible too. Like,
I told you, man, neurodivergent. I don't understand things very well. So I didn't really understand a lot of the pricing. You get 30 hours of CPU time. I don't know what the fuck that is. I don't know.
It basically means over the course of 30 hours, you can create as many images as you want.
But then when you run out, you gotta wait till the next month.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I'll buy that shit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy that shit.
Yeah, it's super simple.
Yeah.
But no, and some of the stuff that was created was really cool. I did not, and just so you're aware, I did not pull any of the images that you had made with folks in chains and whatnot because I did not want to show that.
Oh, I didn't know you were pulling my stuff.
I pulled everybody's stuff.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's going to be a slideshow with this, of each image and whatnot, and the prompt that was given.
You know what? So I put black men and black sun in chains, and the images that came out from that. I know you didn't want to show that, but I thought that was so powerful.
They were gorgeously rendered.
And I put that on my social media, and people loved it.
Yeah,
loved it.
Well, and it's not a matter of. It's basically I understand that if I do that, YouTube's gonna fucking smack me hard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, real hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you. And some of the other stuff that was created, like I went through and had it create like a 70s style blacklight poster, and it came out perfect. Like my prompt, if I'm not mistaken, I have all of them saved here with their prompts as the file name, so I wouldn't forget. Rockabilly Swamp Thing with Bride of Frankenstein was the one that came out that was really good. Yeah. Well, no, I was getting specific because there was a specific way I wanted, him to look. Some people, let's see, a 2014 Toyota Supra Mark IV, but futuristic, being rained on in an alley in 4K.
See, I'm scared to get that descriptive.
Why?
So I kept it kind of simple because I did do one that was kind of long and it was just not what I wanted. Maybe I'll try it again, but I kind of kept it, I'll try to be as vivid as I possibly can, so I can kind of get what I want. But I try not to make it put too much in there to confuse it. And then what I want is really watered down.
Another one was a bright red rose in a field of dead flowers, and it was the 4-picture grid. A council of cryptids holding court over the fate of humanity for killing magic.
Okay,
that was one of mine.
Okay.
A fourth wall breaking necromancer. A grim reaper in an orange fiery background with souls leaving it. Like, people really got into it.
Yeah.
And then there were a couple of them that were just simply gorgeous. One of them right here, man holding woman in arms with fire surrounding them.
Okay.
That was done by I believe Dave in the Discord, and it was a beautiful enough picture that even I saved it for myself. But there were like my favorite one that I did was sun-soaked farmer's daughter with blonde hair and freckles on alabaster skin, standing in a field of waist-high grass holding a flower. And what it gave me was gorgeous. But then I also did a few other things because I wanted to see. And some of them I did were stylized prompts where I tried to make it copy other artists' work.
I did the same thing.
And it did.
It to the T. To the fucking T, yes.
That is where I start to have an issue with it.
See, I like that. I like it.
My problem is if it's creating images on its own, fine. But the minute you can get it to copy another artist's style, I feel like some artists, they look the same, right? Some people that draw comics or whatnot, or paint or whatnot, they have a very similar style to them. But when you can copy a specific style, like the first one I did was a Norman Rockwell style.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Portrait. Nobody else paints like Norman Rockwell did. Nobody did then, nobody does now. I can recreate Norman Rockwell's painting style on my own with my own prompt, something that he never created, but in his style. And I feel when you have a style that is so distinct and so unique, it's your fingerprint. And nobody should be able to steal your fingerprint. Not without paying for your fingerprint, basically. And so I did a couple others. I did DC comic art style. I did a couple in Tank Girl art style.
Yeah, I saw that one too.
Um,
I did cyberpunk art style
mhm.
on a few of mine. So
See,
I did
but cyberpunk's a genre.
yeah. I got you.
I'm talking specific artists. Like, say, Ice Cold was a painter. Ice Cold had spent 15, 20 years developing his technique and his style, and he was unique, and there was nobody else out there like them. And then somebody uses your art style through Midjourney and then starts selling that product.
See, something like that can go one or two different ways. You can, well, I guess that style of art can get watered down, like, because
Oversaturated.
It's oversaturated, yeah. Or it's just so many like that people want the original.
You
that
would
could
hope.
happen.
You would hope.
Yes, it is wishful thinking because, like I said, it can go one or two ways.
But didn't
So-
WWE and 2K Games get sued for putting the wrong tattoos on the wrong people?
No,
Like,
they
or
got
for allowing
sued.
it?
They got sued because Randy Orton's tattoo artist
Mhm.
saw his work on
On a created character.
No, he saw it on. I thought he saw it on Randy Orton.
No, I remember the case. The argument was that being on Randy Orton was one thing, but the fact that the game makes it available for you to
For
put
any
other
character.
people's tattoos on your created character, that is copyright infringement at that point. And that is what I'm talking about here. Essentially, this is copyright infringement. It relies on a lot of personal responsibility and morality of the user, but I think that there should be some stuff put in place to keep people honest, right? The honest system works, but let's be honest, it doesn't really work all the time.
Right. I just don't know how you can stop something like that.
Oh, you blacklist certain styles. You blacklist terms.
You have to blacklist a lot of terms. You know how many artists are out there. So
you know how many vulgar words are blacklisted on my Twitch stream?
How many is that?
At current moment, 350.
Okay. What I'm saying is, okay, who's to say whose art style is what? Now it's gonna be. You start doing stuff like that, it's gonna become a slippery slope because somebody can come out there and say, "Wait a minute, that's the way I draw a nose."
Well, okay, so let me do it like this. You like comics, right?
Yeah,
for the most part. And
I used to. Not anymore.
I'm sure you watched cartoons and stuff, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if I were to say the name Bruce Timm, would it invoke anything? Would you?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Think the Batman the Animated Series.
Okay.
His art style.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody draws like Bruce Timm. Nobody. There's nobody out there that creates characters like he does. There is a distinctive art style there. You could blacklist Bruce Timm's name. You could blacklist Picasso's name. You could blacklist the artist's name itself. So the minute you put that in, the program shuts down. Like, I don't know if you tried or not using any sexual or pornographic or drug terms in any of your prompts.
There's ways around that stuff.
There is, but
I've done it. I've done it on Midjourney.
Yeah.
Instead of cocaine, you put a bag of powder.
Yeah.
Or a bag of baby powder or a bag of.
But it's a little bit harder to do with an art style, like an artist's name, you know. But yeah, there are ways around it. But you've seen. Obviously,
what's the stop me? Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you got hit when you put in cocaine, right?
Well, you had mentioned you can't do that,
yeah.
So I didn't do it, so I just went around it.
Yeah, and that's what I got. As several terms I tried to use. I didn't even like bikini.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I mean, they've already thought far enough ahead to be like, okay, you can't do this, this, and this with it. So
And I've seen nude stuff on there.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody got around it. I've seen nude stuff on Midjourney.
I'm wondering if the paid for version you get more freedom.
Probably not. I don't think they'll ever go that route. Like even these apps you use. I read where someone, that there are certain apps where you can take people's face and then put them on.
Yeah, reface.
You can put them on a body. So somebody was using this girl that they like face and put it on a nude woman's body, I guess, so he can get itself off on, and it didn't work. So like these apps do protect, or they try to, but people are gonna find a way around this shit.
Mm-hmm.
People are gonna find a way around this shit.
You also have stuff like deepfake where now you can I could take your face, put it on my body, right, and have it look like it's supposed to,
right,
and move like it's supposed to. Like all I would have to do is keep my hands hidden,
Yeah.
And there are even voice modulation software that can listen to you talk
and create,
right,
word by word conversation and dialogue.
Right, I could isolate you from the DeMoss podcast and then feed it all your dialogue, and it would reasonably recreate, if not almost identically recreate, your voice. I don't like that. I think it's cool. The technology is neat, and all the ones and zeros behind it. But man, letting that out into the public space feels like it's a big mistake.
And here's another thing. I was actually seeing this, and this is a real thing, and it's being used. I want to say it's being used by China. They have news programs that aren't. It's AI literally talking. They're deep fake AI. Like if you look close enough, you can be like, wait a minute, that's not a real person. That is, so they're spewing propaganda. They actually did one. China did this with Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Trump, they did a deep fake with Trump, same voice, and had him, saying propaganda, like just pro communist propaganda. And they were running that over
there. Plot twist. Actually, Trump billed that as a speaking engagement. But no, and see, that's ultimately what my concern is with this is personal responsibility. And are we really going to trust that people are going to honorably use these tools? Because I like one of the things Craith had originally brought up is like it is a solid tool in an artist's toolkit. Say you got writer's block, right? You're like 6 chapters deep in this novel that you're trying to write, and you've been stuck for a week and a half to 3 weeks with writer's block. Well, theoretically, you could feed to Chat GPT the 6 chapters that you already have and a vague idea of where you'd want it to go after that. And this thing could do it for you. That would be a tool being utilized by the artist to help further their art. Whereas you could have just people that are like, well, yeah, let me fake everything. Let me mimic as much as I can to make as much money as I can.
Well, here's my thing. So what you just mentioned, you
bootlegged art.
You just fed the Chat GPT 6 chapters so it can write another 3. Is it going to be creative as you were? Is it going to go in the direction you actually wanted your story to go? Because anybody who writes a story, they know the beginning and the ending at least. They just got to get there got to get the middle part. That's usually how that goes. What I've been hearing about the AI, it's not creative as we would be.
Yeah.
It is. What'd you say?
Yet.
Again, yes, right.
Yet.
Right now, it's not as it's gonna get the job done, but it's not gonna it's not going to it's not gonna write Star Wars. They probably can write the last 3.
rewrite
Star
them.
Wars. Yeah, you could,
rewrite
you could
'em.
probably. It could have. No, ChatGPT could have wrote those last Star Wars.
I think if they had let ChatGPT write those last 3 Star
They
Wars
would've been
movies,
better.
yeah, they would have been. Yeah, they would have been. You know what? Let's let ChatGPT take a crack at it and see what it comes up with. You know, maybe we do need. Maybe I'm being a little too harsh on it. But yeah, man, like I'm happy that you participated with the Midjourney thing because
Man, I still got probably a good maybe 10 things I can do. But I'm gonna buy this thing. I you know what? Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like I said, I slowed down on it because I wanted to save some. I know some really creative people, like really creative. This one girl I know, like I just watch her on social media. She's not big on social media. She's one of my friends, and she's just like a really creative person. I like the way she thinks. I like her posts. I'm kind of in awe of some of the things that she puts out there, and just the way her brain works. And you know, just her brand of humor is is very interesting to me. I sent her a message saying, "Hey, have you heard about this?" Because I wanted her to give me something, so like some phrases, because I would want to see what her mind creates. So I'm at the point now, and I did it with my son. I wanted to see what his mind would create, and the image was amazing. So now I'm beyond myself. That's how crazy this is. I want to know what other people would create with this AI, because it kind of gives me an insight to how their brain works. So that's where I'm at with it.
Well, start saving them and make a show out of it.
I'm gonna talk about this, and I even told you that before when you brought it up. I was like, "Hey, I was gonna do that too."
Yeah,
but yeah.
Well, we've been talking a lot about AI lately because there's been more and more stories of it, you know, popping up, and you know the rise and the ebb and flow of popularity with Midjourney and Stable Diffusion and what was the other one? Fuck, I can't think of the name of it.
I only know of Midjourney, so all the other ones. I was gonna ask you, hey, when I ran out, I was like, "You got any more of them AI art?" Yeah. You got any more of that AI art?
Yeah. DALL-E isn't as good. At least the public facing version of DALL-E. There's DALL-E 2, which you can submit to be a beta tester for. But yeah, I've been tired all fucking day, man. You figure I get up and I edit and, you know, stream while I edit and then jump into the city and stream while I do that. And like,
so you should say jump into the city. You just can't say that because people that's watching might not understand. So
they'll figure it out. Yeah, I love that because like when I'm talking to people like in Discord and whatnot, and I'll be like, all right, see you in the city.
Yeah.
It's so funny. When I was a kid, see you in the city meant something completely different. You know, because like when I was younger, see you in the city was like, hey, I'll catch you downtown, you know, this weekend and whatnot, because that's where everybody went. Now, see you in the city is, yeah, I'm in my fucking pajama pants with big bucket of cheese poofs and some drinks in front of me, and I ain't moving for the next 6 hours.
Six. Man, I've seen some of your streams last like 10 hours, man.
Hey, but you know, I'm there. I'm interacting with the people that are there. It's having a good time. You know, I honestly feel guilty sometimes when we've got a high viewer count, and I'm just like, man, I gotta go to bed.
Man, that happened to me. I was literally about to shut it down, and the owner of the server we're in rated my Twitch channel with 33 viewers, and I was like, I've never had these many people watching me. I gotta stay up. Right? I didn't go to bed that day till 5:40 a.m.
What time do you got to be up for work?
This was a weekend.
Oh, thank God!
I got kids. they woke up. I didn't get much sleep that day.
You go to bed. Fuck.
Look at you, man.
Yeah, you go to bed at 5:48 a.m. They're up at 6:30 a.m. and you're like, fuck me, man.
Exactly.
Not enough coffee in the world, right?
Man.
So last night we were in city together and whatnot, and like I heard you over the radio. I knew what you wanted. You wanted to get me them crypto sticks. You wanted to hand them off and whatnot. I was desperately trying to get out of city to go to bed.
Bro, it was funny because I knew you were. It seemed like you towards the end you were like, yeah, I want to go to bed, and then Alex was like, yeah, drive me down to the city or something like that. It's like you were getting pulled in like 7 directions, but you're trying to go to sleep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got drug 2 or 3 different places, then went to the casino, and after the casino I was like, that's it. You're either taking me home or I'm sleeping right the fuck here. Like, get me to my bed.
See, here's the thing with me, and we've ventured off in a whole different direction.
We always do.
There's a difference. You're not, like, the person I'm talking to right now is not Rooster. You're not Rooster, bro. Rooster is in the city.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 different voices. Like, I don't feel like I'm talking to Rooster. I feel like I'm talking to Odd Man. And when I'm talking to Rooster, I don't feel like I'm talking to Odd Man.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm good at what I do. No, sir. Well, and see, the thing is like there's a bit of odd in Rooster, like the mindset of how he wants to run his business and how he wants to do. That's me, man. That is 100%. Give me a dump truck full of fucking money that never ends, and watch what I do with it. Right? That's simply. I'm only hindered by my finances. And I'm pretty sure fate or the universe or karma or life or however you want to know it, they know that too, which is why I've never gotten further than a certain spot. I think life is like, nah, man, you need to chill. You being a lot of extra right now, and we gonna make sure that you don't get too extra.
Right.
I probably could start a cult, like a legitimate cult, if I wanted to. I'm probably like, look, man, people flock to me.
Followers, and you be on a roof playing guitar. This is my congregation.
But no, I mean, people flock to me, and I've never understood it. I've never I've always been confused by it because, like, I'm pretty off-putting at times, but everybody still seems to love me, and I'm like, you sons of bitches, don't you understand? I'm trying to get alone time. I'm unpleasant on purpose. In fact, I had a friend that put up the other day is like, beware of fast friends. It was something along the lines of, you'll find out that they ultimately turn out to be unpleasant. And I was like, well, that's why I just say fuck it, and I'm unpleasant from the jump. But yeah, like in all 3 cities that I've been in, man, I've been able to amass a group like that, you know, and it's because I come into the city and I'm talking about doing things that they don't normally do. I'm talking about running certain things in ways that they don't normally run things. And everybody's like, oh, that doesn't sound fun. Really? Being sneaky don't sound fun? Getting away with it right under their fucking noses don't sound fun?
Yeah, see, you got to understand, a lot of people are because essentially what we're talking about is a video game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who hears it. That's a fucking video game.
Oh, we're fine right now. Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, like, you know, some people are probably, no, this our life. No, it's a fucking video game. That's what it is.
I mean, I'm slowly making a living off of it, but
some people play it, or some people are in the city playing it like a video game, and that's where they go wrong. I tried to get my cousin into it. I don't think he gets into it as much because he doesn't understand it. You have to treat this video game. You have to
like reality.
Like reality. And I don't think he grasped that very well. He was, you know, he just didn't grasp. I would see him doing weird shit. Funny story. This is when your business, the Game On,
mm-hmm.
Was on a pier, and we heard explosions. Me and him heard explosions. I said, come on, let's run down. Let's run down under the pier to see what that was. There was a car down there, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I say, hold on, there's a car. Let's go check that out. And as we're checking it out, I see him trying to break in the car. I said, what are you doing? Why would you break into the car? Let's just see it. We don't need to break in there. And I said, let me find out whose car this is. You're just breaking into a random car. So as we're running off and I'm going to find, what's going on. He says, you guys are the nicest criminals I've ever seen. All right. I find out it was King Baloo's car that he was trying to break into. And I was like, listen, I just saved your ass.
Mm-hmm.
I just literally saved your ass.
Mm-hmm.
You were trying to break into a leader of a motorcycle gang's car. It's funny, man. Like, I don't know. Like, okay, you said something earlier today, and most people are not going to get this. You said, hey, guys, hand me these materials, and it's probably not going to pay you what you think it's going to pay you, but it's to spread goodwill. And most people aren't going to understand that because they play this shit like it's a video game.
Mm-hmm.
I understood it. I understood why you want me to. I can't talk about it on here.
Mm-hmm.
Why you want me to do this thing first before we can get it. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling, I can't remember if it was J Money or Kyle, but they only wanted to deal with one. This was in an old city. They only wanted to deal with one mechanic because they were paying higher on materials. And I said, no, man. Use all the mechanics. Use all
that
of
was
them.
Kyle and the Spartans.
Okay. Might have been Kyle.
I know it was.
Yeah. So I say, Kyle, yes, they're paying $70 per material, but the other places need materials too.
And you never know when you'll need them.
Exactly. Take the $40 bump and help them out because you never know when how many times have you went in a red line and didn't pay for people just don't think like that. And I think like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll do something like your son. He needed money one day. Boom. There you go. I got it. I didn't ask for any points on it. I didn't ask for a Vic or anything like that. No. Because one day you're gonna pay me back. But again, I went off on a tangent.
No, you're 100% right. And that's what I've been trying to get at with the way I'm playing Brewster is there is a different way. You can do it the way you want. There's nothing wrong necessarily with your way, but there is another way. And like Rooster's been saying, any organization that wants to be successful should operate on the defensive at every time rather than the offensive. Mm-hmm. Believe me, shit will come to your door no matter what.
Exactly.
You ain't got to go out there looking for it. So when you see groups on the in-game Twitter just trying to start beef, man, fuck it. I ain't even paying attention.
Yep.
Twitter ain't in my face. Twitter ain't on my block. There is something, and my brain had it. It was J Money earlier today. Took a huge misstep, and Rooster had to lay down the law
again. I know you had one yesterday with him, and here's the thing. I talked to you before you talked to him.
Mm-hmm.
Then after you talked to him, I talked to him because I wanted to tell him. I wanted to tell him what I told you. Like I don't want to be that type of guy.
No, he told me before. He told me.
Yeah, he told me that you told him, but I still want to say, hey, I did mention that too.
Yeah, I didn't tell him you told me that.
I felt bad about talking behind his back. So I was like, yeah, bro, I was talking behind your back. But we talked about it. We're cool.
Yeah.
But so he misstepped today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had a slight misstep today. Actually, a pretty bad one, really.
Oh my God. Okay.
So it was a situation of two wrongs don't make a right. Leo maced him. Leo maced him because he scuffed Vic, and J Money started to fight back because he got maced, which is a natural response. But J Money didn't realize that Leo is part of our friend circle, and Leo was whooping his ass, and J Money pulled a knife on him and stabbed him.
Oh my god!
And so I'm with Roosters with J Money and Adrian, and now Leo, who's bleeding out. And I immediately, J Money and Adrian, get the fuck out of here. Go. Get the fuck out of here. As soon as they leave, Rooster looks down at Leo and says, I'm going to say I was driving that there garbage truck and I found you like this. I don't know shit about what happened.
Those two guys, I like J Money. I really do. I wouldn't be living with, we have a house together. I wouldn't be living with him.
I like Adrian too.
But both of them guys are kind of.
Rooster's working on toning J Money down.
I like J Money, man. That's my guy. But yeah, you got to do something. You remember let me ask you a question. Like I said, man, we really went off.
It's artificial intelligence still.
Yeah. All right. So it actually is. But the day he shot me, I ran to the hospital, got patched up, came back. He stabs me and then shoots me again. All in the same day. When we were and you
moved in with them. Let me remind you of that.
Yeah. So wait. I got my get back. I shot up his car, then he came back in the city, and then we were doing materials and I stabbed him and I wouldn't take him back to the hospital. You took him to the hospital. What did you say? What conversation? I know you said something to him because he came back like, yeah, let's squash this.
No, I got in his ass about it. I was like, you need to quit fucking around. Either you're going to take it personal or you're going to talk shit like the rest of us do, but you can't do both. Right? You're either going to understand that we're just fucking talking shit and we're having a laugh because we're all out here fucking slaughtering pigs, picking goddamn corn, and losing our goddamn minds. Exactly. We're just keeping each other goddamn sane. So either you understand that,
and you got to understand we also have GoPros going, Purple Eyes going, so we got to have some type of banter.
Right. I got in this shit and I was like, you need to knock it the fuck off. Artist is a friend. Artist is one of us. Either you're going to have a sense of humor or you're going to take things personally. If you're going to take things personally, we won't joke around with you.
Yeah. I think after that was the time where he was basically like, okay, well, I'm going to give it back. I'm going to give it back to him. I'm going to give shit back to him. Mm-hmm. But, some of the stuff is a little obnoxious. But again, that's my buddy. I like J Money. Adrian.
Okay, so here's the thing with Adrian, and I've been trying to explain this to others. He doesn't mean it. He doesn't mean anything by it. He is just annoying by nature. I know you got at least 2 or 3 friends that who are exactly like that. They don't mean anything by it, but for whatever reason, they were just wired to be annoying.
Yeah. It's a couple people like that. In the last city, it was DD3. It's like I wanted to shoot him like every time I saw him.
Mm-hmm. And Adrian's the same way. Adrian's a good kid, right?
Bro, I remember I had to stop your son from putting one in his head.
Yeah.
Your son, God rest his soul.
He'll make you want to pull the trigger on him every time. Every damn time. He'll make you want to do it. But he doesn't mean to. And speaking as someone who was an annoying kid that grew up to be kind of an annoying adult at times, I feel for the guy. I get it. It's not your fault. You're stupid at times. Cool. You understand you're stupid at times. Let's see if we can keep you from being so stupid you end up with your kneecaps blown out again.
Yeah, I was about to say that happened. I heard that happened before, so
yeah. But I mean, it's a fun little life that we have there, right?
I love it, man. I gotta be mad. You got me addicted to this shit, man.
You're welcome.
It's funny shit, man. It is funny shit.
It's storytelling. It's improv. I know you grew up in Chicago, right? You had said that your family wasn't bad off. Like you were comfortable.
No, okay. So when my younger years, yeah, we were poor.
Okay, but you don't strike. Were you running the streets at all?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you understand that mentality to an extent.
Yeah,
you understand that there's some respect and some loyalty and some stuff like that.
Yep.
And see, most of these people that are there, they have probably never been outside their cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I guess my goal with it is just to do it differently, to do it the way I would do it if I were in that position.
Right.
You know, we are. We've got a good plan ahead of us, and it's fun to role play. It's fun for improv sake. You know, it makes you think on your feet because you never know what situation you're going to be walking into next. You have no idea what's going to come out of the person's mouth that's standing in front of you. Well, if you're standing in front of Rooster, you can pretty much guess it's what's coming. But like tonight, I had so much fun. I was at the Rooster was at the recycling center, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was there with his friends Bubba. They're the Outsiders, I believe is the gang name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know Bubba.
And we his team was playing Would You Rather. I'm just running back and forth with Rooster, carrying boxes, you know. And then they pull me into it, like, would you rather? And I just start giving them wild fucking answers.
Funny story. A funny story about I can't think of his Bubba's son, one that wears the cowboy hat. Yes, Eugene. Me, this is so funny. This is so fucked up and funny. It was getting close to tsunami, right? And me and Tyler had to go to the fucking bank, and we're in Legion. And as we were about to pull off, I said, wait a minute, who's that guy running to the bank? Is that a civilian or is that is that a local or is that, you know? Civ. And we're like, he's either going to the bank to put some money up or going to the bank to put some money out, take some money out. We should rob him. Right? So we get out the car, right? We get out the car, we start walking. And as we're walking, we say, nah, I know who that is. That's Eugene. So he sees us walking, and I've never on this game seen somebody run to their car and get in the car as fast as he did with that. Because the cowboy hat, the shit just looked hilarious. Because we're in Legion and he has a cowboy hat on. You don't see those people outside of Polito and Sandy Shore.
Right. So
it was just like, man, dude, did you really have to run to your car like that?
Hell yeah, you did.
Oh my god, yeah. At some point, me and Tyler were probably gonna rob him, but then when I recognized who it was, I was
yeah, Tyler's my boy. I like Tyler.
Yeah.
No, one of the Would You Rathers though. I got him.
Oh, I'm sorry. If I cut you off with the Would You Rather.
I got him. So, one of the women that is in Bubba's crew asks, would you rather buy 10 unnecessary items at the store or forget one item at the store? Or forget to get one item at the store. And I stopped them and I said, so basically what you're asking me is, do I want to go shopping with my wife or do I want to go shopping by myself?
Pretty much.
Bubba busted out laughing.
That was pretty good.
And so later on, I recanted that story to Sean and Alex.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you that don't know, Alex is my in-game wife. She's also, my out-of-city wife.
Mm-hmm.
And she got pissed off and walked away. And Sean is just standing there silent. Like a good 5 minutes go by and he hasn't even said a word. And I look at it, Rooster looks at him and points at him, and he says, I know you're muted and laughing your ass off right now, ain't you? And a very, very quiet from Sean. Yep. I was like,
I have so much fun, man. I do. It is so fun. Like, I find it amazing that I can just be doing dumb shit like recycling all the time, and I will have like 7 people watching me do that. Like, I'm not saying anything. I'm just recycling, running back and forth. What are you guys watching?
You run back and forth.
Like, what are you guys watching? It's like you guys are watching me all day. Just do this. I don't know. You know what? It's. I don't know how to put it, because I've tried to explain this to people to bring them in the city, like friends and stuff. I'm just not interested. And bro, you don't know how much shit I've talked about this game. I'll never touch this game again. They've been running the same game for over 10 years. I'll never touch this again.
There's the point, though. It's not the same game. It's so
not
much different. It's the
I've
same
tried to explain this to people, and they do not get it. It is. I do not feel like I'm playing Grand Theft Auto.
No,
one bit. It does not. It does not feel like it. I don't remember this version of Grand Theft Auto. It is not Grand Theft Auto.
No, it's not. It's something wholly unique, and I think that's what drew me to it. And because I know you want to do an episode where you sit down with us,
and that will happen. I think I got enough people now.
It's an experience that's wholly unique. It's something that you can't get in any other game, right? I don't care what the AAA game publishers release. I don't care what an indie developer releases. It's not the same experience, because you literally can live whatever life you choose.
Yes, exactly.
If you want to be a crim, man, there's gangs, MCs, and police galore to join.
Or you can make your own.
Yeah.
You can make your own criminal organization.
But if you want to be a civilian, there's options for that too. You know, I am one of the few people in our group that doesn't have a legitimate job. Like, I am still listed as a freelancer, making $175 every cycle.
I don't have a job, bro. Me too. I get $175 every 15 minutes or whatever it is.
But you can work as a mechanic. You can work at a coffee shop. You can work as EMS. You can cut your own swath and make your own business. There's someone right now that is offering interior decorating for a fee. You pay them the money for the stuff that you want. They go to the store and they place it for you. Right?
Who is that?
I believe it's The Witcher currently that's doing that.
I know somebody else that's doing that too.
Well, I know a character named Cells was doing it as well. But like, you can live out whatever life you want. And what's really cool about this city over the other ones that I've been in is they have a legitimate suggestion box that they actually listen to.
And they're fast. They are fast. The last city we were in, you know, you might get a message back in a day or two. This city, they're on it. Remember, I had the one issue with stuff disappearing out of my truck. Shit was fixed in 10 minutes. They just put it back in my pocket. Shit just said inventory full. Like, what the fuck? I didn't do anything. Inventory full.
Yeah. Well, I had that happen to me too, where I had corn disappear. All that corn that I had picked in the field, I'd put it in my truck before a tsunami, or there was some corn. I forget. It was corn though. And I was talking with a god through Discord, and they said, okay, prove to me that you had it, right? So luckily I had GoPro footage going. I was like, hey, somebody clip that, give me the screenshot of it. I can send it over. They prove that I had X number of corn. And then I get from them, okay, you see how much it weighs. Do you have that weight still available in your pocket? And I was like, give me a second. And I moved some stuff around and I was like, okay, I'm good. And the next thing I know, I want to say 4,000 corns or 4,000 ears of corn were shoved into my pocket. Like,
What the?
there you go.
It's a shitload of corn.
Yeah, there's your corn back, kid. But you know, they're responsive. As far as I know, I haven't checked. I can still see it, but I can't join it because I was the band. As far as I know, our previous city is still down from the wipe. Like something is
Yes,
broken,
yeah, I saw
and
that. I saw
they
that.
can't fix it.
Yep, that shit is so funny. I'm so glad we left, man.
Uh-huh.
I'm so glad we left.
I was asked to leave.
Well, they fucked up, and now, even if they do get it back up, who's gonna go? That wipe, and people probably have moved on to another city by now. They're gonna come. Shit. There's only 2 people I know that's still over there.
Let them stay.
Yeah.
You know, I unfortunately, and this is something that I need to tell everyone out there that even is remotely thinking about getting into GTA RP or even like Red Dead Redemption, because Red Dead Redemption 2 now has its RP community that it's building.
Oh shit, okay.
Most of the management that you run into in cities is run as a high school hierarchy where they're petty, they're vindictive, and they're cliquey. It does not feel like that with this city. I've had very little interactions though with city management, but that is by design. Like I'm purposely keeping to myself and building my little empire. People know me. My name is around the city. I've done FaceTime with different city administrators briefly. Vinny specifically sees me quite often because whenever I have somebody new, I usually take him there like, yeah, he needs a weapons license, a hunting permit, and a fishing permit. Like, let's just get it, boom, all out of the way while you're standing here. I saw Vinny last night in city because somebody wanted a hunting and a fishing license. And I was standing there and I was like, you know, I've still got 5 days on my fishing license. I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to catch you again in 5 days, right? Within the next 5 days, I'm pretty sure I could catch you. And he's like, yeah, with the amount of time that we both spend in the city, yeah, you don't have to worry about it right now. I was like, cool, I won't. I'll just keep on keeping on.
So Vinny is the officer that processes licenses.
He's the fish and game warden. Yeah,
he's a fish and game warden. Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
I believe he also has sheriff capacity as well, like functionality. Like he's a police officer, but he is specifically fish and game.
Gotcha.
Have you heard his truck though in city?
No.
I want to drive it.
Super loud.
No.
Whose truck? So I was watching your Purple Eyes one day, and you were at wherever Sean Nightshade works.
Auto Exotics.
Man, it was a monster truck that pulled in there. It was like
that was at Benny's.
That was at Benny's. Okay.
Yeah.
A white and orange monster truck pulled in there. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? The organization needs one of those.
Well, you know, I've got my eye on a couple other vehicles that I think an organization could find useful. Apparently, there is a bulletproof Tahoe that you can buy that also has machine guns mounted in the front of it under the grill.
Yeah, we definitely got to get that. That sounds kick ass. We need to get that.
Oh, I'll go you one better. Those machine guns don't seem to alert the police.
Wow.
And if you stance your vehicle, lift it up a little bit with the command. If you stance your vehicle, you can get headshots with that thing.
Damn. Wow.
That's
crazy.
I want 7 of them.
You want Sam of them?
I want 7.
No, not 7. I want Sam. Let me sim.
Yeah.
Just walk in the dealership. Sim.
Yeah, but I think that's the big draw though, right? Is because it's a game, yes, but you can't get that experience in any other game.
It's so like, okay. You go into regular vanilla GTA. There's rockets going off. There's people getting shot with rocket launchers and bombs and C4 and people, every time Dick and Harry has a submachine gun and an assault rifle. I mean, it's just total chaos. This, you can go a whole day, you don't see nothing. You see one person get shot that you know, and that shit will feel like real life, and that shit is exciting. Like, what the it's so fucking crazy. It's so fucking crazy.
When we went through the storyline of my in-game son dying, JB, when we went through that felt real.
It did.
And the very next day, and I don't want to say too much more, but JB, my son, is gone. But there is another character that is piloted, right, by the same person that was piloting JB. And
so I got to figure out who it is. Shit.
When we were all, because we went bowling the next day, and I had picked an outfit that I wanted everybody to wear. Of course, Cass gave me shit about it. He said he felt like Inspector Gadget. And
we were talking later on, and he was like, "Man, this not me. I
get it. This. But it's like 5, one shot. Go out, go bowling. Wear the outfit, go change. That's it. If you were going to a funeral, you'd be dressed and impressed. And if you were a pallbearer, you would all have to look uniform anyways, whether it was your shit or not. And that's where Rooster's mind was at. Is like, I put together this outfit. It was something that made me think, reminded me of my son in game. When I met JB in the first city, he was running with a gang and they wore suits. And I've always loved a long pea coat, right?
Like an overcoat. You mean like an overcoat?
Yeah. I've always thought that those were stylish. Of course, I had the same hat on that I wear in real life. You notice that Rooster has a couple of them. And I set us up with an orange tie. And the orange tie was because there was a group that, my in-game son was trying to start, LOE, and their colors were orange and black. Well, anyways, we were standing there getting ready to go bowling. And the person that piloted JB in their new character walked up. And of course, I IC'd everything in character, but he pulled me aside and dropped the voice that he was using. And he said, when I walked,
all right, I know who it is. I already know who it is now. Yeah.
When he dropped the affected voice that he was using, not effected, but affected. So you may not know who it is.
No, I know who it is. Because it's who I thought it was, but I wasn't sure.
But when he dropped the voice effect on his voice, like how I can switch into Rooster real easy. He said, when I walked up and saw you wearing the orange tie, I almost cried. He's like, I knew instantly why Rooster was wearing that orange tie. And he's like, I honestly almost cried. And I kept saying, I said during the funeral and the eulogy and everything too, I loved my son. I have 2 sons that I love equally. One of them chose a path that I can't get behind, but I never stopped loving my son. And even went the whole route of, Rooster was like, I feel guilty. I don't know what it was that he got from gangs that I couldn't give him. I did everything I could to try to keep him safe.
God, I feel so bad for missing all this shit. Damn it.
And we weren't even streaming it. We weren't recording it. This is our moment, right? But it said the exact same things that I would say if I were in that position that had a wayward child that was gunned down to possible gang violence. And like everybody told me afterwards, like that's the one thing I keep hearing outside of the city when I talk to people, behind the scenes is like your RP is solid. That is why you have so many people around you. Is your RP is on point.
I have a question. How did you guys get the funeral? How did you guys get the pallbearer and stuff like that? Like, did they have to be communicated through the city, or like how did you guys?
No, we got told by JB earlier that day that he wanted to kill off his character. Earlier that day. We didn't know when, we didn't know how, we didn't know anything other than he wanted to. So we went about our business. We didn't necessarily agree with it, but it's not our place to stand in the way of your RP. And I was sitting at the casino. Rooster was sitting with Tyler at the casino parking lot, and they were talking over business. And Rooster gets a call over the radio from Alex that JB's been shot. He's bleeding out at the gas station. They're rushing him to Pillbox. We created a whole somber scene. And because of the way the city is, we had to immediately take him from the hospital to the cemetery to bury him and get everything done. Alex and Rooster busted ass to work this scene at different points. We pulled people away from the graveside so we could do what we needed to do. At one point, Alex had to get JB's body out of there because, of course, we can't throw dirt on top of it. So we had to remove his body from the scene. So it was like, okay, well, he's been lowered in. And then at another point, I had to remove the stretcher from the scene and hide it just somewhere in the cemetery. Just threw a stretcher away,
right,
and get back to the grave and act like I was finishing throwing the last little bit of dirt on it. Like, we orchestrated this thing with zero communication with each other.
I wish I could have seen. I wish I was there.
I wish we would have recorded it, honestly.
Yeah, I wish I was there. I got in the city, and Vic was on his way out, and he was just like, "Yeah, you need to talk to Rooster and Alex." And I'm like, "Why?" Because me and Vic was supposed to. We had plans to do some shit. He's like, "I'm leaving out. I had a long day. Go talk to Rooster and Alex." And then I drive all the way out to Polito, and I see you guys just like standing. I'm like, "Oh shit, something happened." And I walk out the car, I talk to you, and that's when you told me. I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. But Rooster being Rooster, he was able to pivot and use the death of JB to get the information for what he wanted to make. Because Rooster was like, I got to keep my family safe.
And I love how that went down. We can't talk about it, but I love how that went down because I'm just like driving and I get out my car and I was approached by someone and they showed me something.
Mm-hmm. And then told you to go tell Rooster.
No. He didn't tell me that. He said, I know you roll with Rooster. That's all I'm going to say. I was watching your purple eyes. So I knew when he showed me, I'm like, oh, okay. And you weren't around. I called Alex. And by the time I talked to you, I'm like, you know what? I'll spearhead this thing. It'll be done. Mm-hmm. And if I don't know how much you grinded today, but if you grind it good, it will be done.
Uh-huh. No,
Not only that, did you ever play with that?
I haven't yet, no. Because
that's not the only thing you can do there.
I know. I did go look. Okay. I have gone and looked.
It's something in there that if we get a hold of that too.
Yeah. No, I'm aware.
Okay.
So basically all you're gonna see on my streams from here on out is me grinding materials and stuff. Because everybody already knows Rooster is selling materials. He created his own market. Fuck getting a job. Fuck standing 9 hours in a cornfield again.
Yep.
He has created his own market and he's got buyers left and right.
And guess what? You're making money like me. I sell the crypto sticks. Mm-hmm. I'm making money that way. I can't use all those materials for that specific thing, so I'll have leftover materials to sell. Mm-hmm. It's a win-win. How are not more people doing this shit?
Because they don't think it's that gang lifestyle. That's it. They want GTA Online, but in RP, right?
Fuck that. Fuck that.
Like that's
Fuck
why
that.
you'll hear Tyler and Rooster say all the time, if you want that, just go into your apartment and load up this game called Grand Theft Auto. You'll have
Hell
all
yeah.
of it.
Hell yeah, you could do it to your heart's content. But me, I like to build relationships. I like to talk to people. Anytime I see somebody new, even if they're a block away, I'm running down there to talk to them. One guy I met yesterday, I want him in the organization. I want him. I'm gonna kind of keep him under my wing because if I want him under me. This guy, he's met you before. He says he's met you. His name is Connor.
Oh yeah, I like Connor.
Connor, you probably didn't know this. Connor lives right down the street from you guys.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
He lives right down the street from you guys.
That would explain why I see him at recycling all the time.
He is a grinder. He grind. You know how I bought materials off of him.
Well, that's how Connor and I met. As we were at the recycling center together.
He is a grinder, man. This dude has like thousands of everything.
When he walked in, I had already been there for probably a good 20 minutes. And I think we both stayed there for about 2 hours, just running back and forth.
He is a grinder. So like eventually I'm gonna put you two guys together and we'll get him in the, I still, I don't know the guy. J Money knows the guy. J Money buys materials off of him. I didn't even know that at the time. I want to kind of get to know him a little bit more, but then I'm going to reintroduce you guys, and I want him with us, man. I feel good about this guy. He's a solid dude.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd have a swell spot in the business.
And not only that, just the fact that he's somebody we can always lean on for materials because he's always grinding materials. Like, why not have a guy like that?
Yeah, but my streams, you're going to see me doing recycling. You're going to see me doing trash. You're going to see me, fucking around a little bit with whoever's in. But all business will take place off stream.
Yeah. Yeah, it's better that way.
I figure I put in 4 hours for the stream. And then I put in the rest of the time for me. I feel that's fair.
Yeah. Definitely.
Definitely.
Chill time too. I like chill time. Like we need to have a beach day or some shit. I feel like we should have already had a beach day where we all went to the beach and just fucking kicked it.
Bowling wasn't bad.
Yeah, I wasn't there for that. I'm so mad that I missed that. Me and Vic went to the first night they opened it.
Yeah, bowling was actually kind of fun. There's the amusement park too. We could ride the roller coaster, get on the Ferris wheel, do the
hang out at the
free
pier.
fall. Yeah,
you remember that one beach we did go to? The very first couple of days we were in here in this new city.
Yeah,
we were just me, you, Jay Money, and Alex. We were just chilling on the beach smoking.
Yeah, that's up off of Great Ocean Highway, somewhere near.
I want to do that again, man. But with more people, just go out and kick it. I got 2 really nice houses. I want to throw a party. It's just so much to do, and I don't understand like why most people when I'm trying to explain this. Yeah, but it's GTA. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not GTA. You're thinking about this all wrong. Like again, when my cousin got in there, he was like, "All right, so where the guns at? What do I buy?" I'm like, "No, bro, chill, bro. Sit down, talk.
Have a slice of watermelon. Shit.
Yeah, man. Like just chill, man. Like you don't. It's not." Half this game is just sitting around listening. You know how, like, I was very successful in the last city because I sat around and listened to people. And just by sitting around the bar, I learned so much game. I didn't have to ask a question to nobody. Just sitting around and picked up the game.
Yep.
Building connections. I barely paid for any modifications or repairs to my car. Barely. Maybe a few times. And when I did pay, it was just because they gave me something free and I just felt bad. Like, not felt bad, but I felt like I should do something. It's free game, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's a completely different experience than anything that you'll ever see. In fact, my buddy Craith in the previous segment, Craith and I were talking, and originally he had that, but it's GTA. but it's GTA.
But it's
I was
GTA.
like, it's not. It's so not GTA. And so Craze has been popping in and watching my streams, and we got talking about it after we recorded the segment, and he was like, I approached it from a different angle with him. Like it's knowing your people when you're talking to them, right? And I was like, dude, just the stuff that they've been able to dev in and the stuff that they've been able to code and the languages that they use. And he was like, well, what languages do they use? And I was like, I know this and this. I said, but I don't know all of them. And he went and looked it up while we were talking, and he was like, shit, they use Luna and C+ and C# and shit, they used a little bit of everything. How the fuck did they make that all work? And now I got him interested from a developer standpoint.
There you go.
You know, how did they make this thing work? And I was like, Crate, that's the whole reason I wanted you to get involved with it. I was like, I know you're a burgeoning game developer. You're an indie developer currently. But imagine if you got in, found your place in the city, built the trust, and they actually let you help them. Now you have another notch in your belt for your developing skills. And you would have something that you could use to show, hey, I worked on this, I worked with them, I did this, I did that, etc.
Wow.
So I yanked him in. I got another one on the hook. I got him.
I just love the fact that everybody in our last city is in this one, and that shit is so fun to me.
Well, all of our people, right?
Yeah. Well, not all of our people.
Well, no, but everyone that we would have wanted.
Yeah. I think that is so cool, man. Everybody just followed you.
I don't know why. The only one
at least I was one of the first. I think I came in a day after you.
Yeah, the only one that I wanted to follow, like, because Alex wanted to stay in the previous city. She wanted to keep running the bar, and I was like, well, then I got no point. I got no reason to go in. She's like, no, you should. You're streaming. You know, go in and start a life. And I'm like, it's nothing without you. Like, the whole reason I started doing this is because you asked me to. You wanted me to do this with you. And there's no see, I got you.
You got me.
I said there's no point in me continuing doing this without you if this is something I only started doing because you wanted me to. And so when she left, that sent an even bigger shockwave through, because now Rooster is gone and Alex is gone and the bar is empty.
They fucked up. They fucked up.
I told Shu when he issued the ban to me that I feel you're going to find out that you're making a grave mistake. And he came back at me and said, that's gaslighting. That's not allowed here. And then just banned me altogether.
Wow.
And I was like, I don't see that as gaslighting. I see that as telling you, you're about to fuck up. And I'm trying to tell you you're about to fuck up to keep you from fucking up. But you go ahead and fuck up anyways.
Right. Man,
and they did.
Shitty little city.
Within
I love that city. I love that city, but you know,
within a week, the majority of their active players were
gone
with me.
Gone. Yep.
And then we've had a
slow. I got a feeling that they're in this city. I got a feeling.
Some of them are, yeah.
I got a feeling that they are in this city watching us, and they're probably gonna try to take us down. I got a feeling.
Go ahead. We can be smarter than them.
Yep.
If we don't engage, there's no beef. Because they can't come up and just RDM or VDM or RDM you. If they come up and start trying to start shit, act like you're in your head.
Yeah.
They can't do anything. You know, don't engage with them. You know, they can't RP with you if you don't RP back. And if you don't want to RP the way they RP in, cool. You see me as soon as 762 has flown in. Have you seen me in the city much?
No.
Like in the city proper?
Nope.
Nope.
We weren't in the city like that anyway. As soon as we got out here, we pretty much stay in Polito.
Mm-hmm. I'll go.
My house is in the city, and I'm barely there. I'm in Toledo.
I'll go into the city to do my trash job. I'll go into the city to do my crypto sticks. But yeah, for the most part, I'm working out in Toledo.
Yep. I need to get me a house in Toledo. That's my next move. I'm trying to get to about 600K though.
Well, I have it on good authority that 4CH is not going to be upset at the Rooster or at the Johnson family for buying up property in Toledo. They're not going to be upset in the least bit because they want good people out there. They want people that ain't starting shit out there because that keeps Toledo calm.
I love it, man. I love it.
Skelly, I guess, is buying the house next door to Rooster and Alex.
I'll be down the street. I'm gonna secure a house pretty soon. I'm probably gonna be somewhere down the street.
Now, I will warn you, the only problem is it's not going to be the nicest house because I think...
Oh, no, I don't care. I just need something to be out there, bro. Like,
yeah, I think Alex and Rooster took the last mid-tier house that was available.
I need a shack, bro. I don't care. I just need something that I'm not driving back to the city for all the time instead of parking my car across the street from the materials plant.
Speaking of your car, brother, if you don't start parking that fucking car before you fly out...
I did. I parked it.
No, you didn't. You left
it.
It's sitting. It
probably just didn't go.
Okay.
It probably just didn't go in there.
Rooster was giving you shit over the radio too about it after you left. It was like that truck's sitting there, and I was like, "This is why he can never find his fucking car. He won't put it away properly."
I probably did put it up. I don't know, bro. I gotta see, but
yeah, someone lockpicked your shit and moved it over into a parking space.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because you left it like right where people would have to drive in.
Oh, then definitely I tried to put it in there and it didn't.
Yeah,
it didn't go.
I know the garages be fucked up sometimes.
Yeah.
All right, I promised you a segment for your show, where we would talk about something, and so we're at that point. The Flash trailer.
Oh my god! So we talked about this on a former podcast. We talked about this, the Flash movie, and I was like, all right, man, this shit's gonna be huff. This shit's not gonna be good.
And I was with
How
you.
they gonna do this? What is Ezra Miller gonna do? Like I didn't give it a chance. That fucking trailer. See, fucking DC keeps doing this shit to me. This better be the fucking reset. If this ain't the reset,
no, it is.
This better be the reset, and I believe it is. I believe Flashpoint is where we're just gonna get a whole new universe.
Yeah, they've got like one or two things that they've got to release after Flash because they've already got them in the can. But after Flash, despite those other two movies that are coming, it is going to start the Gods and Monsters chapter for DC. So yeah, the Flash movie is basically like bloop, reset.
Okay. Well, let that again. That should be it.
And bro, Keaton as Batman again.
Bro, I marked out when I saw Michael. I'm like, okay, I marked out, bro.
Well, when I think it was Ezra, one of the versions of the Flash. But Ezra, yeah, I'm tired, man. I'm probably still gonna jump back into the city for a few.
Me too.
Yeah,
me too.
When Ezra Miller's one version of the Flash was like, you're, and they cut to Keaton's Batman, and he's just standing there with a smirk, and I'm like, say it, and he's like, yeah, I'm Batman.
You need some help. What is he saying? You need some help.
Oh, bro. And the 87 Batmobile that's in there.
Yeah. Dude. Oh my God. If comic book movie stands marked out by seeing 3 fucking Spider-Mans on the screen, they're marking out with the 87 Batman.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't even care about the Flash. Just give me more Keaton as Batman. That's all I ever wanted.
Man, and you're still gonna get some fucking Ben Affleck. It looks like Ben Affleck.
It is, yeah.
You're getting Michael Keaton.
You're getting
I don't know how
Supergirl,
much
too.
of Mike. You're getting Supergirl. What's her name? Kara
L.
Danvers. Kara Danvers. Right?
No, Danvers is DC or Marvel.
No, I think, but I thought they were naming her. Yeah, I know. Danvers is.
Yeah, no, I think it's.
I
Kara
heard somewhere
L.
that her last name is going to be Danvers in this.
God, I hope not.
That's what I heard.
But no, from what I got from the trailer, makes me think that Keaton's Batman is actually pivotal. It's not just a couple of scenes. It is
Really.
Yeah.
You heard he's in there. Wow. So I'm thinking the way they showed it, like he may be in 1 or 2 scenes or some shit. So if he's in there, shit.
No, because I believe from what I saw from the trailer, and this is pure speculation, so don't take this as a fact, anyone. I believe what ends up happening is the Flash ends up running and finding out that he can slip realities or slip timelines or universes or worlds or whatever. And the way they're framing the movie is he runs into one world where his mother is still alive, and I believe it is Keaton's Batman's universe.
But Batman would have to be much older. Yeah. So okay.
And somehow or another, because the Flash wasn't created there in that one, there are no metahumans. So there's nobody to really protect them other than like Batman. And Central City was just one city over from Gotham. And Central City is where the Flash is originally from.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I don't know all that.
Because too, if you remember in the trailer, I don't remember if you remember it clearly or not. There's a scene where the Batarang is thrown into the air and struck by lightning.
Yes, I did see that.
I believe that's their attempt to jumpstart that universe's Flash to get his powers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm all in. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm
Ezra Miller may be batshit crazy, but I'm gonna watch the fuck out of the Flash.
This shit looks good. This shit looks really good. And if they can reset this shit and just start over there, I said the Justice League Snyder cut should be the reset. Then they fucked it up. I said what was the shit?
Black Adam.
Black Adam. I said, you know what? In the end of Black Adam, when you saw Henry Cavill Superman, okay, that could be a reset.
Oh, it was for The Rock's career.
Yeah. You think that you think his career is going downhill now?
I think that he is shown time and time again that he is a difficult person to work with.
Yeah.
And he's not going to probably get big movies for a while. I think he's going to be in stuff like the side project. Was San Andreas was one of them that wasn't really a AAA studio or anything like that. I think he's going to end up doing a lot of Jumanji as penance for his behavior with
Fast
studios
and the Furious. So
Yeah.
yeah, he fucked up Fast and the Furious. Him and Vin Diesel got into it. And they were basically like, we don't care who you are. Diesel, that's our guy. We know you the Rock. We know you the $100 million man.
Yep.
But Diesel, he started this, and we gonna finish it with him.
And don't get me wrong, Kevin Hart and Jack Black are fairly big names in Hollywood, but they ain't as big as Dwayne Johnson.
No.
And I think both Kevin and Jack are just happy to be there.
Yeah.
So they don't care so much about him being a spoiled child. Because honestly, Kevin Hart strikes me as the type is he's a bit of a spoiled child as well. Like, I don't know what he's like behind the scenes or anything like that, but they just something tells me
tell you
that he'd be upset if he didn't have a bowl full of green M&Ms only, right? You know.
Oh my god! But yeah, man. That fucking trailer is. Oh my god!
Yeah, give me the movie already.
Yeah, what is it? We gotta wait till June.
June.
March.
June. No, June. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, I'm about
I was
to
thinking
say,
of something
man,
else.
next month. Shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll kick off the summer blockbusters more than likely.
Did you happen to catch the trailer for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania?
If they have released a new one during the Super Bowl,
They did.
no.
But
I have seen up to.
This is good. This
Mhm.
looks like it's going to be good too.
Oh yeah. No,
this might be one of the better Marvel films in a while.
I've been reading the stuff behind the scenes, and apparently Disney had to step in at one point and say that you need to tone it back a little bit. Because apparently there is a fight scene between Kang and Ant-Man that the original shoot for it was a bloody mess.
Oh wow.
Like they literally were beating the living hell out of each other, like in the script and whatnot. And of course, makeup and effects were in there to make it all look real and everything like that. And I, if I remember correctly, if I read correctly, Disney came in and was like, okay, this does look amazing, but did you forget who we are?
Oh my god.
Do we need to bring the mouse in?
Do we Oh my god. But yeah, man, that comes out this weekend. And I think I'm gonna go partake in that.
I think I'm possibly going to end up finding a different avenue, but I will probably see it as well.
Oh my god. Yeah, this weekend's probably going to be a really interesting weekend. I got Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns.
Oh, that's right. Elimination Chambers this weekend, isn't it?
Elimination Chamber and Quantumania. So I'm going to have a fun weekend.
Yeah.
Going to have a fun weekend.
If you've got the time, don't forget Saturday night in our Discord. We're going to be playing Jackbox.
Yep.
And you can play from your phone. But I fully understand if family and stuff like that.
Well, today's Valentine's Day. And me and my wife, we work. So we're going to do something this weekend.
Yeah.
And I might take her to the movies. Might watch. She's probably not going to know what the fuck is going on. But she likes to get out, so.
Babe, I'm going to take you out to dinner. I'm going to take you to a nice dinner, and then we're going to go see a show. You take her to a nice dinner, you pull up to the theater, and she's like, I thought we were going to a show. And you're like, we going to the show.
Yeah, we're going to the show. In Detroit, do y'all call it the show?
Usually, yeah.
So that's what we call it. We call going to the movies the show.
Yeah.
In Chicago, that's what we call it. Hey, yeah, we about to go to the show.
Yeah, we heard it.
I say that out here, and people just like, I've learned not to say it anymore. Like,
yeah,
I just don't say it.
Like,
yeah, we're going to the movies. We're going to see this. We used to say, hey, man, y'all going to the show tonight? Cool, let's go.
Hood is hood, man.
Yeah, man, but back to what we were originally talking about. It looks good. That was my favorite commercial during the Super Bowl. I know you don't really watch the Super Bowl.
I no sports ball.
Yeah. But that was my biggest takeaway on the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl commercials was that trailer, because I wasn't expecting it at all. And I just going back to what I originally said, I wasn't really hyped for this movie, because I even said, why are they even bringing it out if they're, if the reset ain't gonna happen, seeing as though The Rock kind of fucked up, damn it, Black Adam.
See how memorable a movie that was?
Well, Black Adam was cool. He just, the man can't close his mouth, so whatever. His attitude and,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I think some parts of the Flash movie may be retained for whatever's coming. Like, I'm not sure, but I would imagine that something they're going to have to hold on to something from it, right? They can't just do a full reboot of everything.
Yeah. And I'm still thinking we're going to, hopefully somewhere down the line, we can get Henry Cavill back into maybe that, that this new reset.
Who
Hopefully.
knows?
Hopefully. I mean, God, Jesus Christ, this man quit The Witcher to do this shit. And you know, then this shit gets fucked up. So,
Yeah, but you also got to look at it too. Is like, you know, he if you looked at it as a relationship, he left his girl to be with another girl, and that girl left him.
Yeah.
You know, so it's the circle of life a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm totally excited for the Flash movie. That trailer was fucking awesome. I've gone back and watched it a couple of times. If you go back and watch it too, if you freeze frame it when they show all of the Batman suits,
Yeah.
if you're eagle-eyed enough and you know,
did you see a Robin suit? I thought I saw a weird suit. It could have might been a Robin suit, but I don't know.
But if you look, the very first one in the row is the Batman Year One prototype suit that Batman would have originally worn his first year as Batman. The next one was a classic blue and gray suit. The next one in the line was the 87 suit. The next one in the line was the one from 92, like Batman Returns. And then there were two more suits that were over there, plus the movie suit that he's wearing. And it was just cool, like to see that attention to detail, you know, especially the blue and gray suit, because you don't see that often. Batman's always clad in black, you know. You haven't seen the blue and gray suit from like way back when.
Yeah.
You might have, well, Batman Brave and the Bold, I think you see it too. But that's the other thing is James Gunn said he's pulling stories from the Brave and the Bold, which if that's the case, oh my God, the amount of characters that they can throw in there, because the Brave and the Bold was literally just a shotgun blast of DC characters. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. I want to see a movie about the Question. He was a lesser known character in
like the Riddler, like the
No. He was called the Question.
Okay.
He was a detective and he didn't have a face. But he was like Batman level detective.
Okay, so he was good.
Yeah, but he was like that hardened, 50s style detective, but as good as Batman was. Like, if you could beat Batman in the Question, you won. Like, now you don't have to go to jail today.
Wow. Yeah.
So I would love to see that done, because I think, I forget who it was I was talking with recently, but they said that they feel that the superhero genre may be coming to an end.
Nah, I don't see that anytime soon, man.
That people are getting bored.
Nope.
And
nerds are gonna go watch the superhero movies.
My argument is too that comics need to start leaning on the genres a little more than just being a superhero movie. We saw it with She-Hulk. You had courtroom stuff. You know, you could have done a complete courtroom comedy with She-Hulk and actually done more in the courtroom than out of the courtroom.
Did you like She-Hulk?
I did. I really did. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed She-Hulk.
I think it was I think it was a good representation of what the original comics were. But I think a good majority of the audience didn't get it.
Yeah, they. So I knew going in because I talked to you. I talked to Charlie G. People that know this shit. You know what I'm saying? People that know this shit, that know this comic book stuff. So I knew what to expect. I'm not, nowadays I'm not really into comics like that, man. I was kind of into it. Like I said, I was kind of into it when I was younger.
Well, you would have admitted too, with the neurodivergent tendencies that you have, that it's often hard for you to sit down and read something all the way through. And even a comic book or a graphic novel, like if you don't have that attention span, or you don't have the ability to like shut off the world and just focus on that one thing, and that's going to be difficult too.
Not even that. You know, it's funny. Earlier today, you asked me, did you read what was happening in Discord? And I'm thinking to myself, no. I did not read what was going on in Discord because, for one, Discord confuses me. It is like, for my brain, it's probably not going to make sense until one day it clicks. It just hasn't clicked yet.
Yeah. I don't know how to make it click for you because
you're not going to be able to make this make sense for me. Eventually, the puzzle will everything will fit right in. It just hasn't done it yet. I know what it is. I just don't know what I'm looking at, if that makes any sense. So, yeah, when you asked me, did I read what was going on in Discord? And he was like, yeah, man, you got to start reading that stuff. That shit's confusing to my eyes.
Yeah, like I've said before, and this is for anyone that doesn't know, Discord is fairly simple. It's a chat server that you can set up or others can set up for specific interests, and there are different channels that are usually topic specific that you can talk to people in. And ours, the general chat, is usually just a fucking wild mess, but we have stuff broken down for, like, if you want to share video game news, you want to share movie news or things like that. So, like, I think you're overthinking it, but then again, what the fuck do I know?
One day I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna look at it, and it's just gonna make sense.
Yeah.
And I won't think too much of it. I'll just go right into it and start using it more. But right now, when I look at that shit, I can pull this shit up right now, and it's just, it looks like binary code to my eyes.
I've explained it to others too. It's like, how you got ESPN, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, so the chat channels, those are ESP2, ESP3, ESP4, ESP5, but you still have the overarching of ESPN, right? And someone was like, oh, that makes sense. And then they started using it more. So it's just a matter of it clicking.
I understand what it does. I understand what it's basically a chat, but bro, it's kind of hard to get my brain and my eyes in sync.
Yeah. I like Discord more than social media at this point.
Yeah. And it's only because of the layout. The layout, it confuses my brain and my eyes. Because I get Reddit. Reddit, I understand. I love the layout on Reddit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think Discord was designed originally by someone like myself who grew up with the old school days of the message boards and the forums before we had interfaces like Facebook or AOL or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we were 100% used to looking at just gobbledygook and figuring it out for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I think that's who designed Discord, because it really does feel like those old school days of those forums and those messaging boards.
And back then I couldn't understand that shit either. And it's to the point where, and this is very hard to explain to people, I feel stupid when I see something and I can't understand it right away.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to feel stupid. So I just won't bother I just won't engage with it.
Wow.
Like, I look at Discord and I'm like, man, I don't get this. I feel stupid because I don't get it. And then when I ask people, what does this mean? What does this mean? And I still don't get it. Now I'm looking stupid to somebody I know. I'm just not going to deal with it. One day I'm going to look at that shit probably a month from now, and that shit just going to click.
But
my eyes will, like, it'll just make sense.
I will say this, though. You do need to have trust in your community, because, we're not going to think any less of you. We might tease you.
It's just,
but that's just us.
Bro,
we're going to tease you about everything. Everything.
It's just how I've been dealing with this shit for the longest. It's just, in my later years, it's just gotten much worse because it was left untreated.
Yeah.
Now I'm starting to work on it and shit like that. So
yeah. That's the other thing that I've had to explain to others that come into our little circles. Like, we're going to bust your balls, man. We're going to make fun of every little thing, but we're going to do it with love, and we're going to take care of you, and we're going to respect you. And I know it sounds counterintuitive, but you just got to go with it and trust me.
Yeah.
Like,
don't get me wrong. I got friends that they don't count. I have one friend. He kind of gets it. Everybody else, they're just like, why didn't you read it? Why didn't you read it? Why didn't you read it?
Yeah.
So yeah, they just don't get it. They just.
When I'm dealing with you and, like, interacting with you and stuff like that, I'm constantly feeling bad, because, like, I want to help you understand certain things. So like I'm like, okay, let me just explain it. And then I'm like, shit, this motherfucker's gonna hit me for white splaining or something. I don't know. Speaking
Bro,
of white,
oh,
I love the fact that your character in the city has that white ass frosted shredded wheat beard of yours.
God, that's artists, man. That's artists. That's artists. Going back to what we were just talking about, though, this is so fucking funny, and I wanted to like. I feel so bad, and it's another thing about feeling stupid too. I was talking to Alex yesterday, and she was talking to me too long, and then it was just like, I don't do this on purpose, but she was talking to me about JB and what went down. Then she started talking about Adrian. And at some point during that conversation, I was like, I just want to tell her I'm not understanding what she's saying, and my brain has moved on to something else. Because I used to tell people that. But I found out it's rude and it's me being a dick. They take it as me being a dick.
With her, it wouldn't, because she's the same way.
Yeah. So like she was talking probably for a good 5 minutes, but my brain wasn't listening to what she was saying, and I was just like, yeah.
I've also been trying to get on her. It's like, you got to get shorter and succinct with these people too. When you're talking, you don't need to tell a 10-minute story. You need to get straight to the point. X, A, B, and then C.
And I feel bad. My girl, same way. She will be talking to me about something for 10, 15 minutes. And then it's like, you kind of start to get anxious and feel anxiety when someone's constantly talking, but you're not understanding, because now I feel stupid.
Right.
But then like you're making me feel more stupid because you keep talking and I'm just not understanding what you're saying, because my brain has moved on to something totally different.
Well, what it was yesterday is like we were talking with Bubba, and we were talking business. So I had Bubba black out his stream so they couldn't see and they couldn't hear. And I did the same. And while we were talking towards the tail end of it, she jumped in and wanted to start talking about something. And it sort of pertained, but she just wasn't getting to the fucking point. Right? Like she was like, so, okay. Blah 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 blah. So blah 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 blah. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, he has been blacked out for at least 5 minutes now, just because what I needed to talk to him. You need to wrap it up.
But that's another thing. People so I don't know what Alex has. I don't. But what she has is something I do. What you just explained is something I do too. And usually I catch it after the fact. Somebody can be talking about something and I'll just come in and just start talking about what I want to talk about. I will totally cut them off and interrupt them. That is a huge symptom of ADHD.
No, so Alex is on the Asperger's spectrum.
Oh, okay.
She is also she is neurodivergent, Asperger's, attention issues. She is sensitive to sound and light and things like that. That is why most of the time when you're around her, she's got the music blaring, so it drowns out everything else. And she's killing everybody else because it's so goddamn loud. Like I walked into our house in the city today, and she's got Taylor Swift on at full volume, and I'm just like, ah! I was like, how the fuck do I turn this shit down? How do I do this? Tell me it now. And she's like, oh, well, it's this and this. And I was like, it's not working. I need it turned down.
Yeah, it kind of sucks when it's like you're either gonna feel stupid or you're gonna straight go off on someone. Because I'm going off, so I won't keep feeling stupid. But at the same time, I'm hurting your feelings because I'm going off because I don't want to feel stupid.
Well, so, and she gets mad at me. Like she'll get mad in city, and I'll do it in real life as well. Like she'll get mad at me because I'm like, you can't do that. I don't care enough for you to be able to do that, right? I'm not on your wavelength. I don't need every little detail. What happened? You know, okay, how did the car get hit? Well, you see, this morning I woke up and I was feeling kind of groggy, and
that's
you
what
know,
they do. Though.
And I was
That's what
like,
they do.
no, how did the car get hit? Well, I was loading up to go get groceries and like, okay. And then I had forgotten something, and then I walked in the house, and then you know, while I was messing with this and this and this, and you're like 10 minutes in, and you still don't know how the fucking car got hit. I can't do that. I'm not wired that way. Get me from point A to point B as fast as you fucking can.
That's how I am. But it's like with your girl, with your wife, you might want to be considerate and kind of listen to them.
Why don't they be considerate and get to the fucking
I
point?
understand, but they're women. They're women. You're not gonna fix this. No, this is that whole get to the point thing. You're not gonna change that, bro. That they're wired different. That's the way they're wired.
I keep to my goddamn self at this point.
Yeah. I don't have any patience, and I know my attention span just doesn't work like that. So after about a minute, I start to feel, well, back in the past, I'm on medicine now, but I start to feel, and I still feel it, but I start to feel like anxious. I start to feel like you're attacking me. I start to feel like you're bothering me, but you're doing it on purpose.
But they are.
No. I don't think my girl's actually doing that on purpose. That's just what I feel because of paranoia, anxiety, and things like that. So then I will go off, and then I wind up feeling bad. But then I have to explain her, yeah, but when you're talking like that, and my brain's not digesting it, I feel I feel bad because I'm not understanding what you're saying. Well, it's just making me anxious. It's making me angry. So you need to learn how to.
Yeah, no, I've told my
get
wife
to the point when you talk.
I've told my wife, you have 120 seconds. After 120 seconds, I have tuned out. So you need to tell me what is the most important bit in that 120 seconds. Because after that, my brain just tunes out and moves on to something else. It really does. Yep. Because I was like, you've got to realize how much is on my fucking plate and how my brain works. We've been together for 7 years, and I've been telling you this for 7 years. Modify, and you can tell me anything you want. But it has to fit into 2 minutes. Because after 2 minutes, my brain's like, oh shit, did I edit this? Is this ready? Did I send that email? Do I need to check on this? Is the band, did the band send me the music that they're supposed to? You know, how am I going to fucking do this storyline in the city?
I wish that's the way my brain will be like, I wonder who invented screws. That while somebody's talking, or like
that shit's in there too.
Yeah, or damn, I wonder if I'm gonna eat peanut butter and jelly tonight, or should I eat chicken nuggets tonight? And what they're saying, oh, she just used the word captivate. Captivate is spelled CAP. My brain just will start to do some other different shit.
I've explained.
It's probably even. How long have we been talking?
I don't know. I wasn't keeping track of the time.
Oh, there's no timer on your end?
No.
I think we've been talking like 2 hours. Yeah,
maybe.
About 2 hours. Mm-hmm. It's probably happened between the dialogue between me and you probably like 20 times. And I nod.
Mm-hmm. But see, I've been hanging out with you long enough and talking to you long enough. If I switch subjects, you pick back up.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. We switched subjects like we've switched subjects like 20 times, 20, 30 times. So yeah.
No, I've honestly described my brain as this. Imagine a 20-piece orchestra where everybody is 2 seconds off from everyone else. And that if they could just get it together, they'd make a beautiful fucking song. But it just sounds like a bunch of noise.
Yeah. The best way I can describe what goes on in my head is, bro, it's just my brain and my eyes. It's like everything ain't communicating with everything in here ain't communicating with each other. you may talk like you may tell me something, and I may a lot. Okay, Vic does this. This is Vic. Vic will say, Vic will tell me something, and I say, "What'd you say?" I heard exactly what he said, but I need him to tell me again so I can understand it. And I do that to a lot of people.
Oh, you heard it, but you weren't listening.
Exactly. I was trying to listen, but my brain wasn't ready.
Huh.
So a lot of times when I'm telling people, hey, can you say that again? I heard it, but they think something's wrong with my hearing. Nothing's wrong with my hearing. I'm just asking you again. So I can't feel stupid to say, hey, I didn't understand you. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you explain it to me? Hey, I didn't understand you. I'll just say, hey, I didn't hear it. I'll even say sometimes, I didn't hear what you said. Can you say it again?
Yeah,
it's just a mechanism.
It's just a mechanism. Play it off. Yeah, I would. Fuck it. Damn, my ears.
I didn't hear you.
Yeah, my ears are a little.
So I think Vic Casanova is getting a little sick of it.
You know what?
I might have to.
I don't want to hear it from Vic. You know how many times I've walked up to that man and he's in his head watching the fucking Walking Dead in a different goddamn screen.
Yeah, he's always in his head.
I don't want to hear
always in his head. But here's the thing. You know what another mechanism is that's actually working for me? I tell people up front what problem I have.
Mm-hmm.
I've been telling, and I've even said it on my stream. Like if I make a mistake, like I'll make the same mistake. Like when I'm in the recycling plant, I'll clock in and walk straight to the door and try to third out the door, and I'm like, why ain't this working? And I do it a lot. I'm like, why this ain't working? Connor walks over to me and Connor says, hey, you gotta go get a box first. I'm sitting there fussing like, why is this shit not working? Why is this shit not working?
He's done that to me too, and I've just been like, thank you, Connor. I'll change the walk style to kind of sad and walk away like, God damn
it. But what I've heard that, well, not heard, what I've seen that's actually working is just to tell people up front and just like stop. I mean, that's stopping me from feeling stupid about it and stuff like that.
Stop being ashamed.
Stop being ashamed. So I just would, tell people up front, hey man, listen. And I haven't had the chance to do it with Vic because I know he's getting a little frustrated. He probably think I'm stupid or I can't hear something. I just need to pull him aside. Like, listen, man, I got like really, really bad ADD. It's really fucking with me. Yeah. I'm getting it treated. I'm working on getting it treated, but I mean, especially in the night, because I take my medicine in the morning. At night, it gets worse.
Well, I've had this conversation with the wife several times. Is you have to make sure I'm paying attention when you're talking to me. You absolutely 100% have to make sure that I'm engaged. You cannot walk up to me when I'm like editing or doing graphic design or something like that and just start talking to me, because autopilot is engaged while the rest of my brain is doing everything, and you will get, sure. Yeah, sounds great. Wonderful. I will not have heard a single fucking thing you said. You could have just told me you want to go castrate babies and boil them to serve to the homeless. Right? And I will totally agree with it because I am an autopilot. You did not make sure that I was engaged in this conversation. You just walked up and started talking.
Yep.
And learn my responses because they're the same when I'm not paying attention.
You want to know something that's also weird? I'm very good at doing repetitive things because it doesn't, like being on autopilot. I'm great at that shit. Materials. I keep going back to the materials in the recycling plant. I can do that shit for 3 hours. It is that is relaxing to my brain because I'm not thinking about. It's like my brain is resting. It's like my brain is resting. I might run into a little loop where I'm doing dumb shit like trying to third eye a door without a box,
right?
Until I get back on track, and then it's the same thing.
Well, that's why 9 hours in a cornfield was so easy for me, man.
Exactly, and people don't understand that. I was in the cornfields for hours too, because shit like that. And I tell my girl, like, why I can sit there and watch stupid ass TV for like 4 hours. My brain has worked and overstretched or overworked for how many hours a day, I'm purposely not going to bed just to give my brain some awake time to relax, just
Where it
just to
isn't-
do
yeah.
nothing.
Well, because you're in sales, right? Like I won't say
Yeah.
what sales or anything like that.
No, I'm
but
in
you-
sales. I'm in
Yeah.
sales.
You're in
And
sales, so your shit RP ain't much different from your job, is it? You got to be on your feet, on your toes at all times.
it is mentally exhausting. By the
Yeah.
time 6 o'clock hits, all I want to do is just like not use my brain. Because I gotta talk to people, and I'm gonna be honest, like I don't like people that much all the time.
People suck.
So, and being on a phone, oh God, I hate it, man. I hate it.
And people would I would imagine especially suck because you are in sales and you're trying to get money out of them, and people don't like to pay money for anything.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty
Well,
much.
Just know, I understand you. I've figured out how to navigate conversations with you, but if telling people makes it easier for you, then by all means do that shit. Fuck them. You know, if they're gonna give you static about it or make fun of you for that, then
And
those
most
are-
people don't. They don't
Yeah.
make fun of me for that. Nobody does. Like, nobody does. It's just, it's a, when you were younger and just shit just stick with you, you know what I'm saying? Like, I remember back in the day where, I was, I made you read in front of class, like everybody had to take their turn reading. I remember back in the day,
Mhm.
oh, he can't read. That shit, that shit sticks with you.
Brother, you're talking to somebody who beat the shit out of his third grade teacher with a broom because she made fun of him in front of the whole class that he couldn't tie his shoes.
I don't want to say this on camera, but the same thing. Same thing happened to me, but it wasn't the shoes, but it was a different grade. But
Yeah. Third grade beat the shit out of a teacher with a broom because she made fun of him in front of the whole class for not being able to tie his shoes. Now, I was in the wrong. Don't get me wrong. I understand this. But that bitch shouldn't have done that. And that's why I say, I always say, I have come from the school of fuck around and find out.
Fuck around and find out.
All
Come on,
right.
man. Let's go play some of the GTRP.
Well, it's going to take me a little bit longer because I got to wait for this to render.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so it's got to convert for me. But
I'm about to get on GTRP. I got some shit I need to get done.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Ice Cold and Craith TV on the the second episode of the video format of our podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. There'll be links in the description below on where you can check out Ice Cold and Craith TV. Until next time, I've been signing off the show with the immortal words of the Iron Sheik, so I might as well do it here too. In the immortal words of the Iron Sheik, good night and go fuck yourself.